Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle episode 367. I've got a fun guest for you tonight, one I've got tons of respect for, and I'm very looking forward to this conversation. Midnight Roots, Jake of Midnight Roots, of one of his handles, Midnight Roots Genetics as well, if I'm correct. But please tell us how you're doing and where all we can find you, please, the good sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Again, I like your show. Yeah, Midnight Roots is my brand. I do Midnight Roots Genetics out of there, my genetics line. You can now find on multiple genetic sites. I do midnightroots.com. There's links to all of them. I do my midnight bars, my chocolate bars, and I do music production under the band Stone Owl. And I think that's what you wanted to chat with today. I've been doing a lot of interesting stuff in my spare time with music and plants. It's kind of where I've been lately. And I think we can have a good talk about this. Sounds like you've been bullshitting about it without me knowing.
Yeah, I think I actually hit you on Instagram one time and was like, we talked about you last night, something like that. And that's what we were talking about. Yes, the community is all ears lately when it comes to frequency and how the plants relate to each other and how we relate with them. And we all know it's through something, and it's got to be we figure, most people figure, through frequency. And then when I seen you on Instagram doing what you're doing, it started to all kind of come together and make sense. Uh, so tell us a little bit about what you got going there, because it is super fascinating what you got going.
Well, what I'm not doing is it's nothing new. It was developed in the early 70s in Italy. So I'm just kind of playing with it in my own way, the way that I've came into it. But basically it's known as like biodata sonification is kind of the scientific word of it. It's basically taking small detections in plants. You can do this in anything, but what I'm using it is with plants, and they take data given off by the resistance and impedance, given off by, I'm doing it with plants. I've seen people do it with crystals, mushrooms. You can hold it yourself. Anything that is going to connect a circuit and give you resistance or change in the resistance, so that you can convert that resistance change into a control signal that I modify by connecting to a synthesizer. And that's usually the easiest ways to control that signal out, is to just get a synthesized sound, sine wave, saw, square wave, and modify it that. I've seen a lot of the technology that I'm using is called, what I use is let's show you. It's called they call it now a plant wave, but it's a MIDI sprout when I bought it, and they kind of discontinued that and now did a different version of it. But this older version right here, oops, I dropped it. This older version right here just basically has just one MIDI out. And this MIDI out I send to my synth. And on the other side, we've got clips. Let me see, where's my camera? Clips that we're going to connect to a plant, crystal, anything we can get resistance from. So it's pretty simple. This sprout basically converts that to a MIDI signal. And that's how I'm using it with sound. It's kind of similar to a lie detector and how that determines galvanic change and resistance. Are you familiar, or have you guys talked about Clive Baxter at all?
I can't say that we have by name, to be honest with you. So
he's a famous guy that was featured in like what a plant knows, and in the Source Field Investigations book, and a couple other stuff. He's a ex FBI CIA agent that decided one night that he was going to connect his lie detector, which is basically the same type of thing, because I can do this with, I can connect this to these pads, that we could connect to you to get your galvanic response, like a lie detector. You can connect these to the leaves of a plant, connect these to almost anything that you're just going to connect that circuit and find the resistance in. And so he decided he was just going to connect his lie detector, EKG, to a rubber plant. He had a rubber plant in his house. And so he would do a lot of tests. He wrote a bunch of books on it. His name is Dr. Clive Baxter. And he did a lot of really interesting stuff, a lot of very scientific stuff. I mean, this guy's an FBI agent or CIA. I can't remember, FBI, CIA, to me, whatever. All the same dudes. Hooked it up. And his stuff that he was doing revolved around trying to get that response, that spike that you see in a lie detector, you see in these, giving that resistance and that impedance. And he was looking for that and seeing if he could get that response out of this plant. So some of the more famous ones that were tried to be replicated by a couple of Russian scientists, and I know that's the whole thing, is replicating these studies for science, or you got to be able to replicate them over and over again for it to make sense. But the one he would do would be like, he would take krill, krill, very small shrimp, right, that whales eat. So he figured these are a really small life form that wouldn't have a large, I don't know what you would call it, a source field or a large aura or a large vibration that it's going to give off. These are small krill, tiniest sea monkeys, like, right? And so we would take those and put those in a little case or above boiling water, and he would have it on a random timer, and that timer would just go off and it would drop into the boiling water and all the krill would die. And he would look for a response out of the plant. And obviously he was looking for a connection between the plant and the living creatures in that room, and something as a whole bunch of them dying at one time, would the other living creature, being a plant that would have some sort of vibrations inherent in it, would give off a response. And and it's very interesting if you look at his research. A lot of it, he did get responses from the plants a lot of the times, and was able to replicate these. I mean, this is all, a lot of people call pseudo science, right? Because it's on that fringe edge. But I have a degree in philosophy, so I really like to explore the existence of what one might consider a source field, or a connective vibrational field that runs through all of us and connects us all, so that we're not all just walking around zombies or androids that are connected by nothing but an internet. There is something bigger, we hope. And so that's what these experiments are showing. But he's a really interesting guy that you should check out. I'll be honest with you. He's done some interesting work.
Thank you, GR420 Community Videos. He's already thrown up a Wikipedia link for him in chat there. Chat's holding it down. They've already dropped some links for you. Dropped links for Clive.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I can't see the chat at all. I have to log in to see the chat, don't I? Okay, let me see if I can't see it. But what are they saying? I can't. Is there any questions about what I'm talking about, or is he putting links to the Clive Baxter stuff?
So far, no questions. They're just following along. They're just dropping links for you and Clive. So there's a reference.
So in this, with this little thing we're talking about, this simple little response impedance detector, that's just going to, like what I said, the name they use for this is sonification or audification, which is you can do with anything. I'm taking a plant's response and turning it into musical signals. I've seen people do things like take the stock market, random ups and downs and take that and turn that into a control signal and stuff. So, you know, this technique of taking random movements in nature, or even not nature, like computer signals and stuff, and turning them into computer signals, it's a fun exploration. Now, the part I like about plants, obviously, I have a deep connection to the cannabis plant, and I have a deep connection to plants themselves, and I like to argue that they are living creatures themselves, and they respond to pain, they respond to stimuli. If you put a hot light too close to it, it will move away from it, it will respond to it. They respond to music. There's a lot of studies that I've done listening, reading about how plants respond to music, and what music a plant actually would like to hear. It's kind of interesting if you do research those things. It's kind of funny too. You know, they tend to prefer stuff like Chinese or Japanese folk music, you know, classical music, but not too crazy classical music, not Tchaikovsky type of stuff, you know, relaxing music, reggae music. And they tend to respond negatively to stuff like heavy rock music and stuff, which is interesting. And I'm sure, I don't know about that. Maybe it could be have to do something with the distortion. I don't know what that could be. It's just interesting. I've got a couple of records that are music for plants that my family gave me over the years, and they're hilarious. They're like a big band music, and then underneath it, it'll have another layer of tones that they think the plant likes, you know, 492 or 432, and, you know, these different tones that they say it would respond to, that maybe respond to different colors. They might respond to different frequencies, you know, C and the red, they all are the same color. That has a red chakra, lower frequency. And I'm sure that I don't know them off by name. I'm not going to act like I know the certain frequencies of each color and everything like that off the hand. I could probably pull it up on my phone right here and go through it and be better off it. But each color, each state has a different frequency. And it's fun to watch what plants give off. I mean, as you said, you watched a couple of my videos, right? And you've seen the one maybe where I did the bamboo versus the cannabis plant.
Yes.
And
yes.
how the cannabis plant was way more hyper in its control signal that it gave off. It was way faster. I almost clocked the tempo at, I'm going to say, about 125 or 126 beats per minute. Whereas every time I would hook it up to the bamboo plant, it would be around 95 beats per minute. It was a little slower. It was a little more relaxed in control. I always just found that funny. I'm sure there's a lot of stereotypes that go around with the cannabis plant and the bamboo plant that we could say the bamboo is a little more chill, a little more zen-like and stuff. But I mean, that's just humor.
So do you think that, if you could actually, play that back in a room, do you think that it would actually make that plant go crazy as far as like growth? Or do you think if it hurt itself all day, it would like almost retard the growth? I honestly think if, you did, that's where I think that it's almost like to the sonic bloom type theory. You know what I mean? But,
Sure.
just kind of repeat itself back to itself. And then I kind of wonder, is there, have you found the correct voice? So like instrument, does it respond differently to when you turn on different, instruments? Do you notice a different tempo as you put it in the plant?
Okay, so I haven't recorded playing instruments to the plant and recording its response to that. I've tried cutting the plant, I've tried damaging the plant, and it has shown response almost every time I've done stuff like that. Even when I touch it, I get responses off of it. I've been more trying to utilize the plant's responses and make music out of that so far, right? Then play the music to the plant and see its responses. But there is a lot of studies out there that have studied that and how the plants respond to that. A good point about all of it, that every time I've ever researched a study that does play music to plants, so that if you decide, you're going to go tonight and go turn on your boombox to your grow room, every single research study that I've seen says that it's 3 hours on and 3 hours off, that the plant only likes about 3 hours of music, and then you need to have it off for 3 hours, and then maybe have your music on a timer where it doesn't just constantly play. And I get that. I mean, you play the same couple of songs to me for 3 hours over and over again, I'm gonna want you to change the channel, something like that. I mean, but I've seen a lot of studies where it gets negative effects to the plant if you play it in continuous motion. You have to kind of give it a break, which I always found funny.
That is crazy. You would think that it would like some background music like all day. You know what I mean? Not just like I said, I've had enough. So it sounds like it's like maybe even like a morning thing. You know what I mean? Hey, got up. I need my wake up music. All right, it's enough. It's time to get to work.
You'd think so, right? When I got into this, one of the first things I was trying to find realistic applications of seeing people put, like you said, the sonic bloom, right? That's a product that was developed out of a frequency emission that they claimed would, boost the plant's growth and eliminate pests in the area and stabilize the vibrations in the air. They claimed a lot of things. And when I was doing research on that, I saw that in India, there were farmers that would put speakers out and they would play Indian sitar music, and they had better responses with that than pesticides. And there was even a study that was trying to this is a pretty deep one to go, but they were trying to, so that they were saying that the pesticides caused by the farmers, now these are on just regular crops, this isn't on just all cannabis, they're using on regular crops, and these are large outdoor crops, and they were saying that the pesticides caused a killing of certain animals that all played in a certain frequency, like that would fill a certain gap in nature in that harmony. And so that when the farmers played music that would kind of match the harmony that the insects lost, it would fill out this void and kind of like make an overall harmony and create almost like adding micro or beneficial mites to kill mites, kind of adding that natural vibration back into the ether and getting that harmony back in order that you took out. Now, I mean, that's a hard one to replicate, and I have not found lots of studies in it. I've tried to find more people that have used that, and I can't find a lot on it. So if there's anybody in the world that goes out and finds these studies, they were always super interesting to me, the Indian pesticide studies. But that was like what Sonic Bloom was doing too, using this, right? Let me see. I'm going to pull up Sonic Bloom real quick. Do they still sell the Sonic Blooms? Have you seen anybody using those?
I think Twisted Roots messes around with that in northern Michigan. He's a grower up in northern Michigan. And he messes around with the frequency. He believes the frequency. He actually talks about putting magnets in his water, directed magnets.
Okay, I've seen that.
Few other things that he's actually watering with the gemstones. He's actually kind of like a product he's kind of endorsing right now, the 22 gemstones.
I've heard of that too. I mean, there's a lot of people that put those in their their water bottles now. They sell water bottles with those in there, I mean, crystals do give off a frequency. I mean, they are used in radios and they are used in watches, and they are I mean, there's a reason why they're in transistor radios. They receive and transmit frequencies.
So with that kind of being said, I can't help but wonder if you can find the frequency of the plant and match it with the corresponding crystal. You know what I mean? Could you amplify it. You know what I mean? Help
Yeah,
it
now
along,
I've
supercharge it.
seen, yeah, that's even a good question because I've seen people hook these up to crystals, right? There's a guy called Mycological, I think his name is, and he was hooking them up to mushrooms, right? He would hook them up, and has a whole thing where he does the same type of thing. He hooks mushrooms to synthesizers as modular synthesizers, which is really cool because he grows mushrooms. But he also, his wife has a crystal store, and so they hooked him up to crystals, and they were able to get resistance through the crystals, which I thought was super cool. I mean, that's a rock, you know. You get resistance through a rock, but it's not a rock, right? It's a mineral, all right, isn't it? It's classified as something else.
So, so do you have you taken it and let it like go all day, like on like a recording? Have you like hooked it up and just let it go all day to see, when the plant's most active point is? You know what I mean?
Sure.
When is she dancing the most?
Yeah, for sure. And they react differently when they get in the sunlight. When the sunlight comes upon them, they get almost excited when it comes on and it starts playing more. And when it leaves too, we've noticed weird changes like that now. So the technology that I got, there's another one, I can't say, music with plants or something, and they're all basically the same thing, but the new ones, like I said, this one they got rid of, and the new one has like a Bluetooth connectivity to your phone. So instead of connecting it to a synth like I do, where you have to have, crazy Moog or crazy whatever synthesizer, you can connect it to your phone, and they give you like, I don't know, 10 different sounds that some of them are evolving and some of them are atmospheric, and most of them are just like an easy sound that the plant is going to trigger with its control triggers and send pitch and volume and resistance to that already pre-made sound. So that's the whole point of it, is to click it on your plant and leave your phone or your music thing in the center and listen to the plant all day. Right. So that's there's a bunch of people that do that. They do yoga with it. I've seen, I think there's a guy named Tom Wall. He, at the Hash Bash thing, he actually played with his band where he did that. He hooked the thing up to his, I think it was a cannabis plant he did this year. And he hooked it up and he played as a band with it, kind of like a psychedelic rock band. Right. So he would just kind of play to whatever notes the sound was given off. But he did that with this phone app, and so it kind of gave off like a atmospheric tone, and they would just jam along to it in whatever key it was and stuff. Really cool, very very original, very fun. It's very improvisational too. That's the whole point of it, is you don't know what the plant is going to play at all, right? You have no idea. You have no idea what tempo it's going to play, no idea what key it's going to play in, no idea what rhythm it's going to play. So you just kind of have to play freeform jazz, if you want to call it like that. And that's what I was trying to do with techno, use it and try to find find the pattern in it, kind of try to find it as much as I can. And most of the time you can find a vibration in it. You can find a pattern, a rhythm. Very rarely is it just free form off the cuffs where it's just crazy. I don't know. I have one right here hooked up. We can try. You want to see?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. I got doing this on my fucking iPad. So, okay, let's see. So, this is my little thing here. Let's see. I'm gonna move my shit back. Okay, so this is the bamboo plant right here, and here's the MIDI sprout little thing right here. And I don't know what it's gonna play. Let me turn it on. If I touch it, I'm connecting the signal. Can you hear that?
I can't. So I want to just throw this out there. Just like is when we watch an experiment, we kind of hinder the result as just as observating. You know what I mean? Is what we've come to learn in like quantum mechanics and all that good stuff. Just so I can't help but wonder with the Bluetooth application, just because it's putting out a frequency, is it like skewing the results already because it's already adding frequency and the plant's like, there's something at the base.
That's a
You know
good
what I
point.
mean? There's something at the base, man. Fucking with me, basically.
I didn't even realize that. That's a good point you said make. And the funny part about that is, okay, so I posted my little video on this. I bought this thing, I'm going to say 2 years ago. Okay. Maybe 2.5 years ago. And it was kind of more of an expensive little thing, but I didn't have a really good synth. And at the time, like my synth had broken that I had. And so I didn't play with it. And I put it in the back of my closet. I didn't find it for like 2 years. So I pulled it out and I was like, oh, look what I found. This is sweet. And I started hooking it up, and I posted the video online, and there was like 4 or 5 people that immediately chimed in saying, oh, you got an actual MIDI sync. They now did it with Bluetooth, and so does all the other ones on the market. They all have it with Bluetooth. We wanted the actual one where you can just hook it right up via cable to it and directly to the plant. No Bluetooth, no, going through your phone, through some app to develop whatever sound that they want it to be that, works well if you're just playing it in your room and you don't really know and you're Joe Schmo and you just want to listen to it. But if you really want to do kind of observations and fun experiments, this one was the one to get, I guess. And I didn't realize it. And I luckily kept it in the back of my closet and pulled it out. And luckily I got one. But I guess they're not that hard to make. So if you know how to make, this stuff, like make a board or a circuit board, you can go on a couple of different board sites. My buddy actually sent one over. I could look it up, but later and give it to you. But you can build one for like $5 or $10 if you know how to build the circuit board. It's just a MIDI connector and a resistance impedance thing. You can find plans to make one for very cheap yourself online if you're good at that. I'm not that good at that stuff, so I ended up buying it, luckily. But I just put it on this, on my Moog over here. It's like a whistle, right? So I just have it. It's just a mono sound, so you can't really play multiple sounds together. But as you can see, if I touch it, it creates. So that's what's coming out of me.
It's pretty cool.
So if I hook it up to the plant, sorry, I got a clock in the background that's it's at 12 o'clock right now. It's it's ringing. But if I hook it up to the plant, we can try to see, I got to get it on the same little plant stroke. So I'm not touching it. It's just connected. I mean, I can do some weird shit like I'll blow on it.
Which is, you would think the topmost part of the plant would be the most active. So have you found that to be true?
Here, I'll touch it. I can only just theorize and hypothesize,
Have you ever tried asking it questions? Like, I mean, like actually, like seriously, like actually, like smoke one and get that calm state of mind. You know what I mean? And just purposely try to communicate with it to see if you could actually get it to.
Sure. My girl does pranic healing stuff, that type of stuff, where they do the Reiki and the laying on hands. So we've tried to sending in intentions. I guess the best way would be to call that, right? Or manifesting intentions in it, sending it thoughts. I mean, as I look at it, I look away from it, tends to stay quiet, right? I mean, I'm talking to you directly right on here. You can't hear it beeping, but as I look at it and touch it, you know. And, you know, there's nothing different in it. It's the same connection. It's the same, it's just a circuit going in there. Realistically, it's just you have to connect the two by water, right? So there has to be a direct connection. That's why I can touch it. We're water. We can touch it there. There's water going between those. And it'd be like the neurons firing in there. So that that'd be the best way to describe it. If there was a heartbeat of the plant, right? Or a thought pattern. So yes, I mean, and I'm not, it's not sending anything because this is going directly to a move that's not even on. So it's triggering all the notes. I don't have it set through a sequencer or any pattern generator or anything. I'm just literally letting it send whatever control signals it's sending. And if it was on a place, sometimes I've had it where it just will send the same note over and over again. It's going really high and low in a pretty slow pattern right now. I mean, that's really slow. If there was a rhythm to it, right?
It's blushing. So it's blushing. It knows it's being watched.
Yeah. See, I can try to move them around a little bit, maybe.
So have you noticed a difference? Like, say if you've got it locked on and you're not changing anything like you are now, have you noticed? I know you have noticed a difference from like bamboo to cannabis, but have you noticed a difference from strain to strain, you know, with it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've noticed pattern, rhythm, tempo changes. That's about as far as I'm getting with it. I mean, I'm sending it all when I do it through the same tone. So I'm doing it like if I change, let's say I change the sound to, I'll just change it to a key sound or something. So when it triggers, see, it's pretty, I mean, we're not getting much out of it. So I change it to like a piano sound or something, right? And it's getting pretty low. I mean, when I've played it too on the videos I showed you, I mean, we were getting fast responses. I've got, I mean, it's late at night too. You know what I mean? I wonder if that has something to do with it. I mean, it's midnight to a plant, you know, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, it is what it is. I like, you know, I don't want to really try to speed it up or anything. And we know it's connected. We know we're getting a resistance between the two. It's sending something. It's probably just really slow right now. So, I mean, when I've changed the different types of strains on there, that's some high level stuff that I might have to delve into, you know, actually recording patterns. It'd be kind of like recording bird songs or something, right? Actually recording the song of a certain bird, right? Like the robin sings a different song than the chickadee or something or whatever, right? You know, at that point we'd be recording the control voltage tones of a specific plant. Now I'm super busy. I wish I had that much time. I can get a grant from the University of Michigan.
There's gotta be they dish out grants like that all the time. I'm sure you could get a grant for something like that. I would honestly want to produce like a bunch of them, so I could just bring it up to like every plant in the room had one. So you can record it. I'd record it too. I would be so interactive with it. I honestly would be like, I knew you girls were talking about me as soon as I left. I knew it. You'd see them all light up and shit. I'd be wanting to decode it.
I hooked it to a different stalk in there because there's a bunch of stalks in here. They're kind of wrapped up together. So there's a whole bunch of different plants. I connected it to a different stalk, and it's a whole lot more talkative. I had to turn it down. It was sending some super low notes.
He's asking it. They're asking if you've ever attached them to crystals. I wonder. I mean, even you're a collector of crystals. I wonder if, like, say, if you threw one in there, like right now, just dropped one at the base of the plant,
Well,
it's like it would pick up on it.
I mean, I got the smoky quartz right here, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I put it right here, you know, it's right here. I don't know. I guess I could try to touch it to the crystal. I don't know. It doesn't.
See, already picked up.
Yeah, it has. It has gotten a little louder, faster. I'll move it closer and make sure.
Yeah, she's definitely picked up.
It's all over the place too. It's got way more movement.
Yeah, there's so many things you could do with that, because we've also talked about, like, you know, grounding the plants together for communication. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, like, as every did things like that, how much things, you know, made differences, like crystals, grounding them together, and see how much it compared on the health as well.
Well, I wonder. I don't know. See, this crystal right here, I don't have a lot of facets on the side, so I can try to like touch it to the crystal. Let's see. I'd like to see what happens. So, see, I take it off the plant. It's obviously stops, right? Right. So, I'm just gonna touch it to both sides. I don't know. No, not getting anything. Let's see. See if I can clip it in any way. It's hard to clip on or anything. I'm not getting like anywhere to clip it. I might be able to take those pads and put it on there. Oh, look at that. This is right. This is just the crystal right here. That's weird. I'm not touching it either here. I have to hold it back here, so I'm not touching it. I'm at the back of the thing, so I'm not. Make sure I'm not touching it. Let's see here. I'm not getting really anything. Let's see if I can go from the crystal to the plant.
They're all talking in chat how interesting this is. Couple, have you ever showed anybody this besides us? Yeah, he's got some stuff on Instagram. Loud too.
I touch it. I just have it on like an analog piano sound. That's weird.
See, that's another curiosity I have, is like, does it have a preference? You know what I mean? I would honestly have to leave it hooked up to a plant and like change that instrument every day to try to, you know, note if I've noted some shit.
The plant's still singing. Let's see if I can turn it. So you can take it and like Now you hook it up, see how that is? I could hook it up to like an arpeggio.
Sounds like some techno.
Yeah, exactly right. And then you throw the beats on top of it.
Oh, I
Well,
think it would.
the fun part is I could record that and loop it. Now it's a plant literally playing that part in my song. I should record it right now. We could make a track right now.
Oh,
I think I got the,
I'm telling
the
you,
drum machine.
man, I'm telling you what. I'm gonna say this right now, and I hope nobody but Mr. Midnight Roots ever cashes in on this idea.
I don't. It's not an
right?
idea. I mean, everybody's cashing out. I mean, there's a lot of people that have done this. There's
No,
like I said,
like you were saying though, like almost like say how people have the interest in seeing us live one on one in this conversation. I think also like if you had like a live feed, you know what I mean? That you could like a plant radio for plants, basically. You know what I mean? Something that you would play made by plants that you turn on for your grow room. You know what I mean? For that music that we're talking about.
No, that'd be super fun. It would be like a live plant day. We get a different plant every week, and we plug it in and just let it play like this. And we could take the drum machine. Take the drum machines. I've got a whole bunch of them here, like I was doing before. Just find that rhythm in it. Just make a drum beat. You know. I've got a bunch of them here. Let's see if we can even do something. I want to see something. Let's see. I wonder if I could record this, but I mean, there's a bunch of other. Let's see. Make it play some like brass, right? It's obviously way out of I gotta turn the gain down. A couple of them. Super loud. Certain notes, but you can't tell the plant how loud to play.
Right.
So I probably will do that. I mean, that's actually, I mean, I'm on the way of making a bunch of tracks like this, but I mean, it's a great idea just to grab inspiration from the plant right off of it. I mean, a lot of times writers get creative blocks pretty simply. So being able to grab inspiration from something that you're right next to, like a bamboo plant or your cannabis plant, is super fun, you know?
Yeah, I would definitely want to get like, just like any other band, 4 or 5 of them in all at once. You know what I mean? Just to see if they would like rock out.
Have a band of plants, basically. There's some record producer out there going, that's not a bad idea. I'll just get the plants. I don't have to pay them. I'll put them on tour. I'll just cook them up and just hook it up with a bunch of plants. They'll never stop working.
GR420 Community Videos is asking if you ever tried 2 plants in the same pot.
I've tried 2 plants next to each other, right? I connected one to the other, and I don't have 2 plants in the same pot. No, I don't do like no-till or anything like that. So all my plants are in different, and I haven't used it outside yet because I'm connecting it to my synths inside. So I haven't really, I don't really have a portable synth that I mean, I guess I do. I have the little boutique Juno. I guess I could use the boutique Juno and go outside and do that. I think that's got a speaker on the back of it, actually.
That's
I wonder if this thing does.
that's a great question.
Opening right here.
Jason Eyestone is asking, do you think that if a clone would have the same tempo, same tones as the mother?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? I mean, I haven't gone that deep into it. These are fun questions that I would love the community to be involved. I mean, I wish I had the time to do all this stuff. I would love to enjoy and interact in any way I could with other people doing it. There's a couple of these on the market, and like I said, you can build them for free. Let me see. Actually, I see if I can pull that up. Actually, I want to see if I can. I have a link to somebody said where you can literally. What's the thing? Let's see. Where you can literally build it for $5. So if you have any of that knowledge, he said it's really not that super hard either.
I'm intrigued with the frequency as far as IPM. I mean, why not? They've come up with scientific methods to use it against us. Sound cannons that, frequencies that we can't take that make us turn tails and run. So why couldn't they, dial in for something for bug specific? You were talking more of a music, but I'm kind of talking about either way, a music or just a frequency.
Now, if that was true, then you could at that point get these to play that and learn that frequency and just make a recording of it, a 24-hour recording, or have it play. I mean, that'd be ridiculous if somebody could harness vibratory and frequency pesticide use. That'd be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life, right? Like I said, I've read about it in India and other people using it, and I've read about a couple of different products on the market that claim to do it. I haven't bought them or used them, so I can't comment on them. I'd love to know if anybody in the chat has ever used any of those products, because I'd love to hear about them. Like you said, I know I do, and I have used, energized water, moving your water, crystal, embedding your water. I do have crystal singing bowls, right? And I love crystal singing bowls. If you're not familiar with those, they're spun quartz crystal that isn't like a bowl, and you ring it like you would a wine glass, and it resonates in a certain frequency depending on how big and deep the bowl is, and they're usually tuned, and you can get them in any tune. I've got a full set of them, and I used to try to do different things. And when I was winning cups, doing a lot of indoor gardening, I would start with the plant's root phase being its seedling phase, and ring the red or the C note and start there, right? I mean, it was a thought. I was winning cups. I don't know if it helped me. Maybe it helped my state of mind, which helped the plants. But I was ringing crystal bowls in my room a lot. I would keep them in the room and ring them every time I walked into the room to kind of like chill the room. And then every week, and my idea was, right, you got 7 chakras. You got the red through the high purple, right? C is the bottom, red is the bottom, like a rainbow, and then it goes up, purple being the crown chakra at the top of the head, as it rises up. And each one of those chakras would have a certain frequency, and it has a certain vibration. And so I attributed that to the time of the plant's life. So, red being the root, C, I would start it with C at the root, and then I'd go all the way up until harvest, which would be the purple. And I'd be ringing a different crystal bowl like every week and a half, right? Because if the plant only lives, 9 weeks, I mean, a week is like, a long time in its plant's life. I mean, if it lives, 70 days estimate? I mean, a day is like a year in a plant's life. It's kind of how I used to look at it, right? If you live 70 years, my dad died at 67, right? So you live 70 years old, plant lives 70 years, a day is a year. So I always look at it like that. If somebody doesn't go in and look at their plant for a whole day, that plant just missed you for a whole year of its life. So it always kind of, it's a way I think of it, and relating to the plant, This plant is really active next to me right now, though.
There's more than a couple people that want to know what that device is called. You've got a lot of people intrigued now. I mean, people are. I knew that it
This
would
one is called
strike
the
a lot
one.
of interest.
The one I got, the one I bought is called the MIDI sprout, MIDI sprout, MIDI sprout. And like I said, it changed its name. The new one they're doing is called the Plant Wave. And you can Google search those, they'll come right up. I don't know if you can still find the MIDI sprout, the one I have, which is the direct one. And there's another one that, like I said, I've got a buddy that does it with his little psychedelic rock band out of Southern Michigan. And he does it with, I think it's called making music with plants, something like that. You can Google search it too, but it's a similar product, very similar. I think it has a probe where you can put it into the dirt of the plant, right? And then you connect it too, so you can go root to that. And this one has a probe. I just not using it right now, but that one, that I always thought that was a cool idea too, doing the probe type of thing, connecting it to the roots and trying to get the full circuit that way. Yeah, those are the two that I know of. The making music with plants, I think that's what it's called. But this one I have is called the MIDI sprout. It's like I said, it's the older version of it. So I don't think you're going to be able to find it unless you find some on eBay or something like that. But it's just this. It just has a battery in it, and so you just unplug the bottom. It's just got the volume basically and sensitivity right here. So it's just volume and sensitivity. And then just the plug, which basically just connects the plant right now. And so I still have the plant. It's actually pretty active right now, actually. Maybe it's because I'm smoking right next to it. But that's all it is. It's just the MIDI out right here. And this MIDI out is going to this Moog right here. Right? So I don't even have the Moog on, no arpeggiator. This isn't an arpeggiator. I can turn it on a slower instrument. But it's still, there's that whistle again. I like to put it on the whistle because it's really easy to hear it change, right? And it's more like a sine, like a direct sine wave. So you can kind of catch those frequencies and those vibrations in it. You can hear it jump up and down, octaves really quick, which is odd because it's sending those, it's going high, low. And it just stops. But if I put on piano, it's cool. It'd be cool for making a song or taking it and, like making a couple tracks, which I'm sure I probably will do in the next, month or two. That's, I've been making tracks every day. Making a lot of down tempo stuff lately, like 100 beat per minute, down tempo, trip hoppy type tracks. But I'll probably go back to techno because this shit's great. I put an arpeggio on it or any sort of movement on it. It has some great patterns that you wouldn't conceive of. So some good inspiration off the top, fun. That's what music is. I mean, you just gotta have fun with music, really. That's the fun part about it. I'll put it on the piano, so it's not so busy.
You would think the instrument would affect the mood.
You would think that it'd be a circle, right? It'd be cyclic, right? Listening to itself, right? I guess right now it is listening to itself. It'd be like one of those babies that can never hear before and puts one of those cochlear implants in, and all of a sudden it hears it's my voice, and everybody cries, and you're like, oh my God, it's the greatest video I've ever seen. So it's like a plant listening to itself. But this plant I played with a little bit. It's a bamboo plant that my mom got me for Christmas or something, but it still has the crystal in there. I have a couple other crystals like up on the shelf here. Let's see. I don't know if these will do anything. This one's just like a crystal / little thing. It's just a kind of a, I don't know, quartz crystal. It looks like just a stick almost. I can just place it on there. And I got one of these lucidite, I think it is. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert on crystals. So it's a blue one. It's a pointer. Somebody gave me one time. So I could even put that on there and with it, just load it up. Why not? It's changed though already. I'll put this quartz one on there too.
They do make a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does speed up a little bit. I mean, you can hear it. It was slow for a minute. Now, is that measurable? You know, you'd have to record it for, you know, a long time and do a lot of experiments, you know, but I've watched a lot of those videos where, you know, the forest, they've done a lot of research on old forest and, you know, protector trees and how trees communicate. And if you keep older trees around, the younger trees learn from the older trees and it makes a difference for their growth. So it's obvious that plants communicate with each other. I mean, you got to at least accept that plant start for the first point of anything, that there is signals being sent out like there would be between me and somebody else in the room, unspoken signals sent out through vibration. You know, some people are nihilist and some people, you know, don't 100% believe that there is a connection between people and that, you know, we're completely individualized and we're separate from each other. You know, you have that, you know, AI mentality, you know, where we're just android type of things. I'm not sure I believe that so much. You know, I'd like to believe that we're connected and there is a source field connecting us. And if you do throw intentions to this plant, it will change. I mean, I think it gives responses a lot of ways, you know. That's like understanding a bird call, right? Or a baby. Is that baby screaming or is that baby, you know, asking for food?
You know, it would be really cool, if anything, to like take notes on our moods and, you know, interaction with the plant, because we always talk about, you know, brush it off at the door before you enter the garden. Basically, you don't want to take that negative energy into the garden. So it would be neat to kind of, you know, keep some kind of record. You know, I went in, I was pissy that day when I went in to see if the plants actually, you know, were taking note of the moods. You know what I mean? If you went in purposeful, within a good mood, if the plants would pick up and, you know, in rhythm and, you know, vibe off of you. But if you went in just like the rock band, like you're saying with the rock music, if you go in with the shitty attitude, if it really is, you know, you feel your plants are setting it, you'd be able to know that, you know. Well, I would think, right, you'd be able to keep a good record of that to see if that really is true.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I trended to do the crystal bowls before I entered the room, right? You know, at least get myself in the proper state of mind. And I'll tell you, when I was at the happiest and doing very productive stuff, like let's say, you know, I was entering the Cannabis Cup one weekend and the next weekend playing like the Movement Festival, you know, two huge events in my life that are very meaningful in both aspects of my worlds, and succeeding on one side and then succeeding, you know, those types of things, my plants would respond and, you know, everything would respond tremendous. And, you know, if you've had down times in your life where you're not doing so well, you know, I've noticed your plants sometimes have all of a sudden easier, you know, then all of a sudden they get PM and you're like, what the fuck is everything going on? And, you know, some people could say you're just not paying attention to your plant so much, and there's other things, but, you know, a lot of people might say that, you know, it is your state of mind that affects.
TR420 community videos is kind of taking it. You kind of ask for questions or inputs. GMO is real handle there. It's GR420 community videos in chat, but he's like, have you ever tried different light colors like IR or whatever? That would be interesting as well to see if you could note different tones by changing the light frequency, adding, like he's saying, some IR red. If you could note it, that pick up or go down any kind of change like that, or even maybe
So,
cranking up your LED. You know what I mean? If the PPF, if it really like can find that sweet spot, like it's like, oh yeah, no, turn that shit down. You know what I mean? If you could really pick up on something like that.
that's yeah. Now the tones, you got to realize the tones are from the synth, right? So it's just sending resistance, right? It's just ones and zeros, right? I don't know how to put it. It's just sending resistance in that in the frequency. So uh, you know, it's just it's breaking the impedance. So I guess it'd be like I said, learning the call of a whale, or people that study how dolphins speak and learning how they speak, or speaking to any other plant. You'd have to, I guess, we'd have to claim that then the resistance would be its language, or its the way it communicates, and then it's putting its communication into music terms, which is pretty cool in itself, because I guess music is a language, right? So could we communicate with each other through music? Do we? Right? It's kind of an interesting study in itself, so you have to get off into certain things now, so we're just studying that resistance that it's giving off. Like if you'd have to record it all day, put it under red, and I'm sure with the right studies and the right understanding of how the plant communicates with each other, these would be studies I would want the government to fund, not military studies or anything else like that. Let's take 600 billion out of the military budget and put it towards plant music studies, and we'll call it biodata sonification studies. I'd love that. I bet a lot of people would vote for that too. Trying to understand the music of plants.
Another one they were saying is if you could like note like plant health, basically it would be like if you could tell if she was getting sick through a daily recording like that.
For sure. I mean, then can we transfer that over to humans? Can we know when we're getting sick through our language? Could we study that type of information through this resistance? I mean, that's what I love the community. Taking the theory is all the way there. I mean, at a certain point, I mean, there are vibrational medicine healers. There are plant medicine and vibrational frequency healers, and I personally know people that swear up and down that Reiki and pranic healing and laying on hands and Edward Casey studies and all that type of stuff, where people have gone into Ayurveda or Akashic mindset and pulled out records from some sort of main hard drive or library or something like that. And is that vibrational? Can we just understand? That's string theory in a weird way, right? Everything is vibration. Then it moved over to M theory, membranes. Vibration became membranes. I don't know. I like to listen to the plants, and I like to get inspiration from their I don't know, randomness or patterns that they do throw off. It does bring me happiness when I do play music, and that's something that's kind of just the goal of making music and finding happiness in something as fun as listening to a plant make piano tones and putting a beat to it.
it's definitely super cool. I would be almost addicted with, different experiments to see, how they respond with things I'm doing in the garden. That's the main thing. We all talk about, our vibe in the garden. It would just be cool to see overall how what you do daily in the garden affects their overall rhythm. And they were asking again in chat, does resistance change with light brightness, like dim light, low resistance? Have you noted changes like that?
Here, I don't know. Let me turn the lights off. Turn down the lights. I mean, when I connected the plant earlier, we weren't getting much of a signal through it. Like I said, I almost thought it was asleep. It's pitch black out. You know what I mean? It's midnight, 1 o'clock right now or something. Right? We're at 12:30 at night. So, but now we've been playing with it. Putting crystals next to it, smoking next to it, playing music to it. It's super active. I don't know. That's a
Yeah, well, that's one of them things too. We know she's got to go to sleep. They go to sleep. I mean, like you said, it would be hard for you waking her up, giving her a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Getting her running a little bit. Now shut off the light. Be like, is this making a difference? Because they're still going to be going, what just happened?
I mean, we know that they do, right? Because I mean, you have clones, and I mean, some people run their clones on 24 hours, but I noticed that when you do it at a 16, 8, or even a 24, you get better results. You give it time to photosynthesize, though it doesn't need to in cloning very much, but you give it time to at least act natural in a weird way. That makes sense, rather than forcing it. But I noticed my plants respond better when I give it more natural stuff. And I mean, even the like Gavita controllers have stuff like sunrise and sunset and stuff like that, right? They have all those things in the clouds to go over where you can set your controller to to act like it has clouds, so it'll dim for 5 minutes and then come back up slowly, so like a cloud went in front of it or something like that. And they have that on the controller for a reason. I mean, I'm not sure if the science proves it works, but
Something like this, though, would help. You know what I mean? You could hook this up to, a plant that is on that type of schedule and just listen to her all day to see, if she acts different during that morning dimness or, full brightness. If, you could see if there was some type of correlation that lined directly up with that light cycle.
No, I'd love to. Those are going to be fun studies to do. I've been doing it like this, where I've just been leaving it like this. There's other ways to take it. Let me see. If I do like where I put it on like something like this, it's like, do you hear? It's like an evolving song almost. You can play something like this where it's got multiple layers, and you can just leave this on for days and it will play like 16 different voices. And I've done that a couple of times. You can get some cool this is what you'd get. So if you bought one of those plant wave waves. These are some of the things that give you on your phone. Something like this, a textured layer. And then you let this play all day.
So it's kind of adding like a binaural beats along with it as well. Kind of. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, multi-layered tones, binaural beats being of those where it hits the different sides of your brain and it splits it into stereo. So it activates the different aspects of your brain, right? Yeah, exactly. You can do that with some synths.
I love the binaural beats, by the way. It'd be fun to see how they would interact with it, like you're saying, just with the different binaural beats, if that made a big difference. It's there's so many fun things you could take, places you could take this kind of study. There should be grant money for this. There should be grant money for this, damn it.
It's hard stuff, right? Like, who's gonna do it? You're gonna be in you have to be in music theory almost, like class, or like philosophy class, and I believe it makes more sense. Like, if you can apply it to how capitalists think, right? How are we going to profit off this? How are we going to turn this and make it so we make horrible tones where the animals don't even want to be around the plants because you're playing some crazy song out there and all the plants are like, I don't even want to go near those stupid plants. How are we going to harness that sound, harness the brown note or something, so the plants are like, get those pests away from me. It'll be interesting. I would love to see it work. Like I said, I've read about it in India and I've read about it in a couple other places. I've seen some things online that claim that they can do that stuff, the sonic bloom type of thing, and those I've never used them, but I would love to see some people in an actual school get down with this stuff. I've seen, like I said, the mycology guy. There's a couple of dudes that I've seen online. There's one guy that connects it to like watermelons. You can connect it to anything that has water between it, right? So at a certain point, it's just connecting, and they'll just use it to make notes with, connecting and dissolving the resistance. Although that isn't playing with living creatures then. So we're doing something completely different at that point. But the mushroom stuff is really interesting.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just was going to say that it would be neat to see, like you did play like the sonic bloom there. If you played the sonic bloom and you had your plant hooked up to this device, if she would sing, you know what I mean? Just match up with it, start singing along with it almost.
Yeah, that would be super cool. I was just thinking about that myself. I wonder if it would work. I mean, I would hope so. That'd be the coolest stuff ever. I mean, Edward Casey said the secret of fucking life is vibration and frequency, right? There's a lot of people that believe that. I'd love if we could get there. I love cymatics, the whole idea of, you ever see cymatics where they apply like a vibration to water, and they and they'll like freeze it or do something like that. So they'll have a speaker or something, and they put like sand on top of the speaker and they turn it on a certain tone, and the sand will turn into like a geometric shape or something. Have you ever seen that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So I'm wondering, like, that's what I was getting ready to say before this is, it'd be neat to do the same thing. Just set one of those loose in your room and just spin the frequency until, the plant dances. Just find that magical one. And, you mentioned the Akashic records and stuff like that. I really believe that in itself is a matter of just frequency. I've talked about that a few nights. I think it was before Pop's Rooms. It could have been. But I was talking about psychedelics and, how we view people that are so-called crazy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Who's to say that, with psychedelics, we've obviously found out that, letting your mind relax, or getting in tune with that circular frequency will open doors in your mind and let you kind of see, peek into the other side. So who's to say that some of these folks that that deemed crazy or whatever just aren't in that static? You know what I mean? They aren't in a perfect tone, but you're just in that in between kind of radio frequency where they are, unfortunately hearing records and shit, voices from the other side. Who's to say, you know? And again, I like to say that's perspective. Again, to that person doing DMT, it's one thing. Their perspective, it's beautiful. I've just seen the other side. I've taken so much from this. But as a passerby, puking on yourself, that dude's crazy. You know what I mean? How it's perspective. You know what I mean? Who's to say what's going on in that brain isn't, you know, torture if you're locked in between two frequencies, maybe multi frequencies? I think that stuff is a lot of state of mind. To be honest with you, I think some people have that ability to relax themselves into that, like Gacy there. He had that ability, maybe just when in his sleep state, his heart rhythm or whatever, he just relaxed and just could see things, access that record. And now I feel I've actually noticed somewhat of some of the best times I've ever taken mushrooms, to be honest with you, is honestly in the sleep. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever taken any and like just fell out mid peak, ride there. But man, I've I've felt like I've had, unlocked some shit during a nice mushroom nap, to be honest with you, where I could just let my mind go and let everything else unlock with the ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I have a son who has autism, so I watch him a lot. And I had an uncle who I lived with for a while who had schizophrenia, you know, and would say that he would hear things all the time on the TV and this and that. So I've dealt with a lot of, uh, you know, uh, a lot of different types of ideas in that line. When I went to college, I did a lot of studies with, disassociation and multiple personality disorders, right? So I studied a lot about that. That was kind of my focus on one of my majors was, that type of idea, of the frequency that you can get on. Like everybody is just the idea that you can just turn a TV station and there's thousands of you know television shows floating around right at the same time, and the only one that you're seeing is the one that you're tuned into, right? So just because you're tuned into The Price is Right doesn't mean that Martin isn't going on over here, and it doesn't mean that Shawshank Redemption isn't playing over here, and doesn't mean that there's a million other stories and narratives being played out and you're only seeing the one that you're focusing into, because pretty much, yeah, like you said, it is perspective and perception and understanding that lets you understand how to define your time. And we just look for patterns in that time, right? And that's kind of what we're doing with the plant too. When I sit here, and then that wraps all the way back around to frequency and vibration again, finding our patterns in this time, because every single night we close our eyes and go to sleep and then wake up again, and hopefully what we remember is the same place that we left it off at, and I mean, it's interesting to watch people like that. Like I said, watching my son who will play the game Portal, which is, have you ever played that video game Portal? It's a game where you have a gun and it shoots two portals, and you can shoot it on the wall over here and the wall over there, and whichever way you walk through, you come out the other side. So that's the game. And you're in this like weird area that this robot is kind of trying to kill you, but it's giving you the option to win the game, and you only have this portal to do it. And so it's a very 3 and 4th dimensional thought. Like you have to shoot a portal on the ground and then shoot one like behind you, above you, and you get momentum by falling through that portal and shooting through the other portal. So you kind of have to think in this 4th dimensional thing where you shoot over here and you end up coming over here and you go like that. So you're almost in a 4th dimensional hypercube. And it is utterly ridiculous to watch my son play that game and how good he is. And I've been playing video games since I was a child, and I still play video games. I like Warzone and stuff like that, right? But I mean, he is ridiculous at this game, and that's all he likes to play. And it's interesting watching. Like you said, his frequency is on that other level where he, I guess, sees it differently than us. You can't judge a fish by the way it rides a bike, right?
I'm just curious. Just curious. As somebody that's into philosophy, what is your thoughts on the simulation theory?
You don't want to ask me that because that's like my favorite theory. I don't know. I think there's 2 realities fighting against each other right now, obviously. But at the same time, if you really get into it, is there just one reality fighting against itself in the end? Is it just a fractal that's going upon it, imploding upon itself? But at the same time, is that, I don't know how much virtual reality you play, or if you've seen high level virtual reality games, or if you've experienced any of that type of stuff. I mean, you have to kind of understand virtual reality before you start understanding simulation theory, right? Have you played a lot of virtual reality?
No, not at all, to be honest with you.
You should check out like Oculus or something. There's a couple of cool little places in Michigan where you can go and actually play virtual reality, but they've come so far. So when I see that, I obviously can believe that they can create a reality that is just as pleasurable and just as real as the one that we live in, where some people might actually choose it over our reality. And we can easily accept that. We know probably 2 or 3 people that we know that would choose a simulated reality with easily attainable pleasures at our fingertips at any time, and the ultimate understanding of knowledge at any time we want to understand any question. We can understand it. We want to go into any person's house. We can go anywhere we want. We can experience anything we want at any time. That type of stuff is kind of possible with virtual reality in a weird way. I mean, like there's a game Wander where you can just go anywhere in the world. You can go underneath the ocean on top of it, and there's pictures of it, and you literally feel like you're there. It's awesome. It's an awesome game. And it's basically like Google Earth in virtual reality. So you can go to your buddy's house. You can go to your house. You can go the top of Mount Everest. You can go anywhere that somebody's taken a picture with virtual reality. And that's a lot of places, I'll tell you. And there's, everywhere inside of a Shaolin monk's house to a yurt in Alaska it's super cool. I still have this thing playing behind me. It's kind of weird listening to it, but my girl, is into pranic healing and Reiki and stuff like that. So there's a lot of arguments that, the soul, obviously can only exist if it's not in a simulation. So you have to, then I start comparing software to soul, hard drive to Akashic record, stuff like that. And it's weird, you watch, what is that, Spirit Science? They have a big talk about that between the Martian type of things that are,
I love Spirit
creating,
Science,
creating an alternate reality, right? That's very similar to our reality. But then the only thing that I'm concerned is, okay, that's what we know right now in time. How do we not know that it's a million years from now, from what we're conceiving, and somebody just put us in this reality loop? Elon Musk talks about it a lot. It's Elon Musk. Of course, he likes Neuralink and he wants to go to Mars and shit. He's all about simulation, AI. But he's already went to Congress. He's went to Senate. You've heard him talk about it on Joe Rogan. He's warned, everybody in our society that we have till about 2025 before AI hits singularity. and then has to decide if it needs humanity around and what's humanity's purpose at that point for its survival. And if there's a purpose for humanity's survival, once the AIs take control, because they will, and it's a given. Right? I mean, we can't beat something that can live forever and is made out of titanium. You know, we can't kill it. You know, you have to unplug the shit and stuff like that. I mean, it's those movies and a bunch of fat people right now, I guarantee are going to have a hard time fighting an army of AIs ripping through our towns with fucking barrages of weapons and spraying chemtrails and clouding out the sun and making it so we don't have such heat warming. And so now they're clouding the sun. And who needs that? Who would like to cover our sun? AI? They don't need fucking sun, right? I mean, who would spray that shit in the sky? AI? Have they been spraying it for hundreds of years? Are we already in a simulation?
Yes.
Is it Matrix theory?
The answer to that is
yes. Where the batteries, right? Well, I don't want to ever claim that I know yes or no, and we are, because it's probably 5 times more cognizant dissonance is put into our heads, like Westworld, where we can't question the nature of our reality, or we just kind of crack for a minute. You know what I mean? You just can't question the nature of reality that far. Like once you get to that point, you just, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, but I would love to.
There, though.
Right? Yeah,
I've been there.
I've been
actually,
there, right?
It's fun because it's all the signs are there, to be honest with you. In my book, this is AI. What we're living right now, if it isn't AI 1.0, it's 2.0, or we're verging on 3.0.
Oh,
and
if
I kind of hit this opinion
1,000,000.0
because it is real. I think it's happening right now. The signs are obvious. I think the Mandela effect is one tipping point that it shows that we're figuring it out and glitching it a little bit. I think.
I don't know. Yeah, Mandela. The actual Mandela effect it weirds me out, because I do remember Nelson Mandela's death in like the 80s, watching it on TV and stuff like that. I remember watching the whole parade, and he died, and then all of a sudden he's alive in jail again. You're like, what? How do you, but the other ones, the Oscar Mayer, the Monopoly guy with the fucking monocle. I swear the Monopoly guy had a monocle, right? The Berenstain Bears shit, right? I don't know about the Berenstain Bears, but or Shaq or Shazam, or what is his name? Sinbad, and he did the Shazam. I swear I remember that, but then it was like Shaq who did Shazam or something. Right?
But think about this, Jake. Think about this for a second. This is what kind of helps me think that it's kind of getting obvious. Now, I'm one of them people that believe that manifestation is possible. If you see it, in your head, and it's clear. What you think about is what you become. You know what I mean? You set your own path. So
Sure.
that's us kind of figuring out somewhat of a glitch. We've figured out that we have a hand and we can create. We are creators in that sense. Okay, so that makes us somewhat digital, if you will, or somewhat of a sim. Now, playing into this, I heard this gentleman talk on Rogan that said, he was asking Rogan, or Rogan was asking him, is sim real? Would we know? And the gentleman said no. If simulation was going on, you would not know, because at that point, the AI would be so smart, there would be so many simulations going on at once, you wouldn't be able to figure out where you are in the puzzle. Okay? Now, listen
like in
to
West,
me. Follow me here.
Like in Westworld,
Follow me here.
Right.
We've talked about perception here as well. So if perception is limited pretty much to the individual and how we understand reality around us. Now, who's to say? And again, just keep that one in mind as I'm go forward here. Now, as we went on with the digital age, what happens with us necessarily in the physical world becomes less and less important, as much as the tracking of us and the buying and selling of us digitally. You know what I mean? Everything we do now is data, 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 which is scary, and it has been for a while now. Now, if it's all data and that's the most important part, and physical person isn't necessarily important anymore, what's that a sign of? Well, sounds like simulation. So, and again, and if with what we talked
Have you
about with
have you ever seen
reality
the
and
have you ever seen
perception is listen. I have not. I probably
the
not.
ones of the
I
the
don't.
ones of the glitches with the birds frozen in the air?
Oh, yes, I have seen. Yeah, stuff like that, or your car's like all jacked up like that.
Yeah,
I've seen that since.
that hit like nothing, just like hit nothing. They hit like a wall that doesn't exist in reality, right? Like those types of
So
things. Yeah, that would argue for it. Like I said, I'm on your side, dude. I argue for simulation theory a lot. To me, it makes sense why we would go to sleep and charge our battery down, because we need to recharge our battery so that we go. I mean, it makes batteries are the only way I understand. I'm just thinking where time as we know it is 1,000 years in advance, and there could be somebody piloting our avatar that wants to be in my shoes. They want to be a techno producer who grows weed and makes chocolate bars. You know what I mean? Like, somebody be like, that's a fun little avatar. I'm going to play that dude for whatever, 70 years. And then all of a sudden that's it, and he's going to have this, right? But at the same time, there's very religious people that want to argue that that is like, there's two realities. And I get argued this a lot, and I semi do believe it sometimes that, maybe there is a simulation, and I don't want to act like I know on either side, because when I graduated with my philosophy degree, I turned to my philosophy professor and I said, why the fuck did you allow me to get a philosophy degree? And he started laughing and he was like, why? And I said, because I know way less now than I did when I came in. I go, when I came into college, I knew everything. I knew it all. I knew everything. I knew what I was going to do in life, and I knew everything was going to happen. And by the time I graduated, my life was shook up completely, and I had no idea what everything was, and I didn't know anything again. I didn't even know if I existed or if I was a brain in a vat, if some guy was controlling me and just putting things in my brain, and I was actually just some brain in some cruise ship off the fucking coast of fucking Africa in international waters in fucking 500 years from now. And I'm just stored old Jake that, has some pattern that they wanted to save because we're just vibrations, and they wanted to store that song of Jake in a little vat. And so they tap into it with some little things, and that's how it is. We're like some program or something where you want to be like, I just want to go into Garage Band, or I want to go into Facebook or whatever. We're just an app or something, but at the same time, I got a lot of my, my spiritual friends that, want to cry when they say that, right? They want to believe that there is a soul, and that, plants aren't, robots, even though they do grow and live in mathematical golden mean ratios. A lot of them do, and they grow in beautiful mathematic formulations and beautiful mathematic patterns and stuff. But at the same time, we want to believe that there is something besides a big high level computer. And I don't know, I'm not going to say I know either way, but I would like to believe that there are two, and they're fighting each other, maybe. Like in the Matrix, right? Because that's kind of what it was in the Matrix, right? There was the real dudes plugged up to the batteries, right? And then this is the Matrix, and we close our eyes. That was it. I mean, that was my first, I think, DMT trip. Was I got told that when you're living, you're asleep, and when you're asleep, you're awake. And I was just like, oh shit, I can't do this again. Right? But it was like, sleep and DMT trips are all non-death experiences. And what are near-death experiences? Lucid dreams, right? They could be considered that. So do we die every night when we go to bed? Is it the same thing? Sleep is death, right? That's a really deep argument right there, right? And then you could argue, where do multiple personality people go when they change? Some of them have 20 personalities. Where does Timmy go when it turns into Jenna, because some of them have different heartbeats. I mean, handwriting patterns. I've, done studies on where multiple personality patients have like multiple female personalities and they menstruate at multiple times during the month. That's physically impossible, right? For you to menstruate and have multiple ovary thing. I don't know you menstruate at multiple times in a month and different heartbeat patterns when they're different ones. Like literally everything that you would use to define a person, save their fingerprints or DNA, right? And so then you start getting into, right? If it's simulation theory, then what is soul? Right? It's then you start really going, okay, because we have to agree that there's a soul. I do, and that soul is present in multiple personalities. So it'd be like vessel, soul idea, body, mind, right? Unless you just believe body and soul are one. There is mind and soul, mind and body, and if that is real, then it kind of interacts and conflicts a little bit with simulation theory a little bit. So it leads me to believe that there would be two theories going on. One of soul, which would be the fight for our soul, right? Which the soul holds maybe properties that we don't even understand that are occur in vibratory patterns or songs or, love vibrations we give out, like you said, intentions, all the things that humans make human different than a lion. If we're different than a lion, if we're different than a plant, if we're different than some things like that. I mean, we can make art. Can a plant make art? Is it different than when I make a song as it is when I plug it into a plant and make a song, like you said? If we want to, right? If we want to make a band out of plants, right? Would it be the same as a band of people? Would people care as much? Would people care more? I'd care about it more than AC/DC. I'd say that. I do not like AC/DC. You can put it on the record, and I would care about a band of plants more than I would care about AC/DC, especially with Axl Rose. No AC/DC with Axl Rose, bro. Just come on. Just die at this point.
Yes, I agree. Terrible.
There's somebody out there right now saying, I will never buy another Midnight Bar because he hates AC/DC and I fucking love Shook Me All Night Long.
Oh, no.
I love AC/DC.
I agree. When I heard he was filling in, I was like, oh, that's not good. He can't even sing his own band, to be honest with you. He has to go to fill in for one of the biggest rock bands. This didn't make any sense.
But then the question is that.
Speaking of the Midnight Bars, have you come up with any new flavors?
Yeah, dude, we're
since
doing
the last time we spoke.
Yeah, we're doing dark chocolate toasted coconut. Actually, that's going to be dropping. We just ordered the boxes for it, so it's like my favorite flavor right now. It's fucking ridiculous. Like toasted coconut pieces with dark chocolate. Tastes like a kind of a mound bar, but better. It was kind of like a Samoa type of bar, right? But we added the caramel for a little bit to do Samoa, and I didn't like the caramel. I honestly liked it better with toasted and just dark chocolate, and I think everybody on my team agreed. And so that's what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, we're going to be, coming out with the Midnight Bars in Nevada here soon, so we're probably going to be doing some in there too. We were also going to be doing like a pumpkin spice. We were going to do it like just in, the fall, but we have a really good recipe, and I like pumpkin, and I don't care. I'm basic like that. I like pumpkin, and I like it. I'm gonna put it on the roster, so I'm probably gonna do a pumpkin and a toasted coconut, and probably mess around with like the strawberry lemonade, the raspberry lemonade, maybe peaches and cream. We're just doing something along those lines, like a peach Bellini, almost like champagne and peach white chocolate. I like chocolate.
So, as recreational is quickly approaching, are these little steps that you're taking? Is it going to be easier and easier to go nationwide when the opportunity arises?
Yeah, I pray. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. It's not. Well, it's like 49 states are legal and shit like that. So I'm hoping, that would just make interstate travel better because I would be able to ship them to Nevada, be able to ship them to Ohio, ship them. It would be amazing. It'd be a dream come true if it fucking went federal or like that. And I was actually able to ship them to somebody. Could you imagine? Holy crap. My dad was alive to see me ship some chocolate bars out of state and take taxes in on them and pay the federal government actually taxes on them. And maybe, it'd be really cool would be to claim some shit on my taxes, like anything, like anything, I mean, I can't claim a damn thing ever. We pay maximum taxes all the way down to make sure everything is totally covered. I mean, and it's so weird. They view you like you're a damn cartel, some criminal enterprise still. The federal government does. I hope that they do it,
I didn't really think about it in this aspect until I asked the question. But I really believe it's gonna be a plus for you. And obviously, you cannot. I was gonna ask that question, but you kind of answered it for me. You're not able to make the bars here in Michigan and then send them to Nevada or
Oh, that's why.
Colorado,
No,
right?
that's why I'm going to be, teaching them out there how to do it and coming out there and getting a license out there, working out with those guys and stuff, and maybe try to bring my bars out there and hopefully go statewide is the only way right to do. There's a couple of brands that are in multiple states, a couple of chocolate bars and a couple of things like that. So I would love to do it with a federal legalization. I mean, Jesus Christ, it'd be good. I mean, I don't know what they're going to bring with it, if it's going to bring corporate shit and all this, but if you're a good brand, I say to anybody, it hasn't even started yet. Like, there's a lot of room for tons of people out there. There's like not a lot of competitions. And if you can make a good product and you back it with good integrity and you make it clean and you make it for the right reasons, people will support you. I mean, I will. I want to see people do it the right reasons. I mean, that's about the only way to do it. And, I stick to one thing and I try to do it right. Magars and midnight bars. And, I just recommend everybody do the same thing too, because there's still opportunity in all these states to come out. Oklahoma's got a lot of opportunity right now. There's a lot of opportunity in places.
There we go. It wasn't letting me unmute there for a second. I still see it as a little bit of a blessing, not being able to just set up here and then, ship at this moment, because unfortunately it is making you, do two different projects. But if you think about it now, it would be more of a blessing when things do pop off recreationally, because now you'll have a distributor for the West Coast already in place. You know what I mean? And helping out
Yeah,
with the
100%.
workload and shipping already in
100%.
place.
Well, you look at some of the companies that want to bring their bars to, scale up. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If you keep your bars with integrity and make it with a proper SOP, and you watch and you control and make it with clean, tested material, and you care about your products and you care about what you do, you can scale up at a proper rate. There's, there's companies that do it without going super corporate and selling out all the way. I'm not going to sell out. There's no way. And there's a lot of people out there that are doing it. There's a lot of good brands, that were caregivers in Michigan that are coming out in the state. We all know, I could sit here for an hour and name 20 brands, and you've had a lot of them on your show, that have integrity and come out. And, there's going to be a lot of them that are pushed out, but, there's a level of how you can work with people. There's a level of big business, acumen that comes with it, and that comes in any business, if it's like DJing or music or opening a Subway or doing anything, you got to be able to work with people near you, you got to be able to do things, and I hope the people with the right goes, and there'll be, it's an interesting talk. I don't want to go there. I'm riding that fine line where I had to go over to that side as quick as I could, because I wanted to get the bars out there. I really did. It was a good choice, and choice really helped me out a lot, and helped me get it out to the metric, and I couldn't turn it down. You know, it's a good opportunity, and I recommend it to people, and people can do that without getting a license. You create a good product, you can sell your brand, you can sell your trademark, if you properly, build an LLC in a business and understand how businesses are built and stuff. You can sell your product to a person with a license, and you don't need to get it. So if there's people out there that are claiming that they can't get, in the game and stuff, you just got to learn how to work with people. You got to learn to, give up a little bit to get more. It's better to sell 1,000 items at $1 than it is, 10 items at, $10. I mean, if you do it right, it's the whole thing. You got to do it right. It's like anything, bad bands, bad restaurants. They're bad everything. you know, there's evil in the world. There's good and bad people doing it with the right about wrong reasons.
I see it in just content alone. Be honest with you, the same fine line. Good and bad reasons people do. But so with that being said, is anything going on with Midnight Root Genetics side of things? I mean, shit, you're obviously pretty busy. I don't know how you spread yourself so thin, to be honest with you, between the genetics, the grow, the edibles, and then find time to have some fun with the plants, recording them like you're doing now. That's pretty thin there, my friend. That's pretty thin. But is there some good stuff coming on the genetic side of
Well, I work with a
Midnight
lot of
Roots?
people. I mean, I'm able to work with people, and I trust people, and I've got good people helping me. I'm not making a lot of the chocolate bars. I've got people that are helping me, right? So I'm able to work with people. But the genetics, so I just got my genetics on seedsherenow.com, which is really cool. I've carried they're on Genius, seeds.com. Vegans Beans is now carrying them. The seed seller in Jackson. I've done, a couple really big runs with a couple of the larger places. I've only done a couple of select crosses because I breed for myself. I haven't been running a lot of the lines. Now I'm running a Sunshine Kush cross, right? And a Stoned Owl cross. And I'm going to be running down those, but I really want to make some crosses and then crack them and make sure that they're not herming and stuff like that. Because, and early on in my day, I released a couple of crosses that, hermied, and it's not a good idea. Doesn't look good. So I'd like to stick to just making crosses that I want to grow, right? That I like to smoke. And there's a lot of people making the crosses that I would anyways, right? Let's say I wanted to make fucking, Skittles crossed by GMO or something. Jesus Christ, I just bought it today off of Archive, right? You know what I mean? Like, I want to make, Sunshine 4 crossed by GMO. Well, Jesus Christ, Intergalactic made it last week, and Heavyweight Heads is making a bunch of great crosses with Burner with the Sunshine 4. And, there's like a lot of people are doing a lot of the stuff. So I'm just going to stick with what I like to smoke and make some select crosses and release like one at a time. It's not my big focus. So I can use it as like a hobby / great outlet, because I have some people that are backing me that know that I'm not releasing bunk. If I do release it, it's going to be tested. I'm going to have pictures of it. I'm going to have testers and proof behind it. So like Para, Pennsylvania, Bullseye Cannabis in Ohio. Those are two big places that bought like large amounts of my seeds, and they had germination rates of like 95% and up. It was the top germination rate at both places. Now mine are regular seeds, so you're going to get, male and female, but the germination rates are exceptional on them. I'm excited with this crosses that I've been releasing. I've got my 4K cross that I was doing I made for my sister who passed of cancer. It's the Chem 4 crossed by Fire 18. So I've been saving that up, and I've been making sure that that was stable. And so I'll probably release that sometime soon. But you know, just playing along with it. Like I said, I've got a lot of things going on. The John Carlos Magar is one of the things that's really working. I think we're going to be doing something with one of the larger name places out in Nevada too. And I don't want to break it until things are signed and shit. Right, Brian? Not a good idea legally. You know, I'll knock on wood, but you know, we're probably going to be doing something big out there, and we're very, very excited. We're pretty much a go on it. So hopefully, when we do, I'll come back on and tell you about it. But you know, the Magars are doing really well, and I'm focusing a lot on those, and they've been a really good product. And there's a big high demand too for them because we're selling them in just shells. So, you know, it's a product that I can sell in large quantities and I can sell to people, and they're great. It's made 100% hemp. We have them with 24 karat gold with rose petal tips. You know, John Carlos is the creator of it. So we've taken the chlorophyll out of it. It's just a really good hemp wrap now. We've made it with both just the original leaf and with just like a mulch hemp wrap with chlorophyll removed. So it burns super smooth, super easy, white ash, no cardboard taste at all. It's smooth, clean hemp all the way through. And they're just going great. We've really been developing and working on like improving our stuff with it. And I think we've gotten to the level. Choice is really helping us too. They're putting out Magars now in the metric market. And so we're probably going to bring them to Nevada soon, and that'll be a good one. But the genetics are going well. I'm excited to still work with the plants. Like I said, I'm going to just still make a Sunshine Kush cross right now is what I'm working on. I'm really working on some Sunshine Kush crosses.
So I'm curious as I see them awesome High Times cups behind you there. I'm curious to know how you feel about their return to like the cup scene without, you know, you won why it was the little guy still had a chance, you know what I mean?
I
Now
was
this
the
time
little
coming
guy.
around,
I was the little guy without the big people and stuff. I went by myself without a booth. I won a first place without even buying a booth and without sponsorship, without any of the stuff. So I tried to prove it to myself that, you know, I it was the grower. And at the time, you know, I know people that tried to buy it, and there was stuff that were easy to buy, like First Place Glass and People's Choice and some of the concentrates and some of the different ones that were easier to get, right? Because you could stack the deck in their favor, or, you know, put a bunch of judges in and hopefully they would choose a certain thing and they would know what number yours was. Like people, I've seen people try to do everything in it. I've seen people try to get called out for it. I've seen people I know close try to stack the deck. I was like, man, come on. You know, the whole fun of it is to win. Like, it's not to stack it. Like, I hate to win like that. Like, tripping somebody when you're running around a track and winning because you tripped the guy behind them or something like that. Like, I would hate to win like that. It's not winning in my opinion, you know, it's stealing and stuff. But like, I mean, think about it. I don't know what to comment on it. There's no blind judging anymore. So some of the things that made the cup exciting was that there was some integrity in it. And I know that there was some integrity in some of the judging, especially in the flour and the concentrates, man. I mean, I know a lot of judges and I know people took it really seriously. People would fly out from other cities. People took it very seriously. Like it was a big deal, you know. There's always going to be bad seeds in everything and try to win their thing. It doesn't mean that every single cup was stolen. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody stole something one year or here. Doesn't mean every single person was stealing every cup. There was some legitimacy in it. You know, I know people would stack it, you know, like certain dispensaries would put like 40 entries in. You know what I mean? Like, now you got a good chance of winning when you're putting 20 entries in the indica category, and there's 40 entries or something like that. Man, you got a good chance of winning. So, you know, there's different ways of doing it. But now it's all not blind. You can put your sticker on the outside and say what it is and say who you are. So you can you can just buy judges packs, right? And doing it. Like when I was with the Adam Dunn show and they did that Adam Dunn show Invitational, that was like super fun and super really close judging where like the competitors actually judged. And that's what makes it fun. I mean, you're judging art for God's sakes. I mean, this, it's art. It's like dog breeding. It's like cheating at dog breeding competition or something. Like Tanya Harding the dog next to you or something and breaking its leg so it doesn't win or something like that. Like I hate that. Looking Nancy Kerrigan in the head or something like that so she doesn't win. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's ripe for for unscrupulous people to try to stack the deck in their favor. And if you can't see that as an editor of the, thing, I'm probably not going to enter it. And the entry date is tomorrow at 5:00. I was thinking about putting the Megara in it or the bar or something, but it's, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird at this point, right? I mean, I've got 11 cups and I worked really hard for all of those cups, I mean, I don't know if I need to prove myself against people that are going to, try to stack the deck. And I'm really secure in my competition state of life right now. So I know my bars are very good. They sell well and I eat them myself. I know my flower is good because it's the only weed I want to smoke, um, that's all I need proof for myself. I'll probably enter it. Now don't get me strained. I fucking love the High Times Cup and it's fun to win a cup. I'll probably enter sometime again. And Jesus, I mean, I've entered a million every single year I've entered them, and it's always fun to win. And it sucks to watch somebody, beat you. And it's just fun to compete sometimes. And I don't take it too seriously anymore. I'm happy when my friends win, if my friends win, excellent, and I hope they win, I hope they deserve the recognition. If the wrong people win, well, Johnny will always sweep the leg, right? Some competition, right? And Daniel will steal his black belt to get to the top, right? I mean, Daniel didn't earn that black belt. He stole it from somebody else and put it on and then went in and fought against the best in the league and got his leg swapped. Competition is weird. Right?
Yeah, I
There's
was
no
just a
heroes.
little let down that they've taken out the little guy, And again, I was actually bummed out about that. I had heard that aspect of it, to be honest with you, and I was bummed out. I was like, oh man, High Times is, I was bummed when they talked about entering the flower market, using their name to actually enter the flower market. I was like, okay, yeah, that's. You guys are kind of pushing a little bit there. But then I heard about the cup thing and it only being able to be licensed to be able to get in there. And I thought, well, now we're really getting corporate. You know what I mean? And then, to be honest with you, Midnight, Jake, I've been a judge on 3 different cups. I know there's some integrity there. So when I seen one of the people that helped me get into the judges spot, and they told me that they were going to be in Michigan for the 420 I was like, really? And then he told me, yeah, but they're selling judges kits. And I put that with the license thing. And I'm like, oh, well, this is totally gone corporate. Who's how I like you said, rather than stacking the entries, who's not to say that somebody doesn't go out and buy a whole lot of judges packs and here's one for you, one for you, one for you, one for you. You know who you're voting. You know what I mean? At that point, it can easily be bought. You know what I mean? And it's just disappointing. I'll still go. I love the events. I love the networking possibilities. You can't take that away. But as far as the cup and that's another thing too. And I'm not taking anything away from the winners, past But I always thought it would have been cool if High Times would have added a little bit more credibility from state to state to state to narrow it down to, the US Cup, 50 entries, only one wins. Now you've got a fucking cup winner. You know what I mean? Now you've got some bragging rights. But when you run around and give out, cup award, cup award, cup award in every town you go to,
Well, they did that. They did that every last couple of years. They did the World Cups, right? They kind of dropped the ball on a lot of them, right? But they did because we won a World Cup second place for a pre-roll, and it was supposed to be in Jamaica, and then they ended up having it in Sacramento, and so we flew out to Sacramento to go. But they would take, if you won a top three of the cup in the state, you were allowed to enter into the World Cup. And then they would take, it was supposed to be in Jamaica. I think one year it was in Jamaica and the next year it was in Sacramento, and they only did two of them, right? But that was kind of the idea of it, right? So they tried. I mean, High Times has been a lot of different people. And I mean, I like this High Times. I mean, the legacy of High Times is, I've read it my entire life. And, I can't take away from the value of earning a High Times cup. I've worked for it all my life. I've got two on my mantelpiece right back here, and it's something that I raised I'll take to my gravestone that I won, and you know what I mean. It's an honor that I always cherish. But you're right. In the spirit of competition, right? Like the holy sacredness of the judge, and it being, blind, and it being an actual competition where nobody knows what they're judging. They're just judging the best thing that they opened. And it's not because, whoever's on the fucking package with his name smiling there, and, or this guy's over here, it comes with the fucking, whatever on it, a fancy thing. You're actually judging the product. That's the sacredness of the whole competition. So you're right. It is disheartening. I'll probably still enter in the next future, right? I'll probably play along and, just play along, because I am on the legal market now. So I do get it. I mean, I am on the legal market, so I can't enter. I just didn't enter this time. But it is weird, like the whole caregiver putting it up against it. I mean, that argument too. I mean, the caregivers created the legal market. There would be no legal market if it wasn't for the people that took the risk and went out on the risk and, fought for its independence. And there's a war still on us. Like $70 billion is still given to the fucking DEA to fucking find out who we are and keep records on us. And, look at us like we're criminal enterprises. We're just trying to raise our kids and, have a good day and, pay our bills too. It's I get lost sometimes.
It is a great day that we can, make a living in this beautiful industry that is the cannabis industry.
But the question then is, should caregivers be allowed to enter against, legal grows? Of course, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, although the only argument is I just realize that they have to, as well as the legal grows, they got to pay the $500 for the damn metric testing, because that sucks. I mean, THC testing back in the day, Jesus Christ, the testing facilities and stuff to test, all the products that were entered into the cup, hundreds and hundreds of products at one time were entered at one time. And they would just be like the $40, $30 THC tests to see it. They weren't tests for, like nowadays, it's for heavy metals and fungicides and a mold test and, the whole gambit of everything they test for. So if caregivers enter, I just believe that they need to be able to pass the same tests that everybody else has to pass. I mean, that's about fair, right? I don't think they should be cut out. If they're legal, I mean, Jesus, everybody should be able to fucking enter. If it's recreational, right? I mean, everybody can grow 12 plants if you're over 21, right? I mean, why is it all of a sudden legal? Are we just talking about caregivers? We're on three different, shit going on right now. We got the legal market. Everybody's allowed 12 plants. Why can't my grandma enter? Why does she need to have a license? She can grow some shit as long as she can pass the license, the test, right?
That's the way it should be. You should be able to like you were talking about breeding stuff just for yourself. If you cultivate something that's just the prettiest flower you've ever seen and you grow just enough for yourself, you should be able to take it to high times if you're willing to pay for the testing and all that good stuff and go, I want to put this up with the big boys. I want to see, you know, if this flower is as good as I think it is. You're right. It should be.
So we did. Yeah, that's what we did when I entered. I was entering up against, the big names of the business. All the people that had a lot of dispensaries all over the state. And had a lot of people following them and shit like that. We all know who was going around. Hell, half them are still operating. There's a couple still operating, caregiver places. So there's still some weird gray area going on in the world. I mean, I think it should just be legalized and it just needs to be regulated like everything. Like if you want to start a beer company or you want to start a food company or you want to start a restaurant and go sell your asparagus shoots or something down the street, you got to get them tested. You can't, have fucking dog shit on those and you grew them with your special recipe human feces and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you gotta there's gotta be some regulation. I mean, I hate to say that, but I mean, Jesus Christ, you can't, if we're all subject to that strict regulation and I got to get my bars tested, the distillate, I got, what I mean? Everybody's got to get those tests so we don't, give you fucking powdery mildew and spider mite poop and fungicide and pesticide, Eagle 20 sprayed all over the shit, and, avid everywhere, you're just drenching your plants. Man, I laughed because, 10 years ago, I remember some of the biggest name in the business swearing, and I've got video of the biggest names in business swearing that they would spray Eagle 20 on their plants and the flowering phases all the way up. And they recommended everybody do it because that's how they passed all their tests and stuff. I mean, all the biggest in Colorado and places like that, like the shit some of us have consumed, if you've been consuming since the 90s and 80s. I just got to say that though. I mean, Jesus Christ. I bought some pretty fucking bad brickweed in my day. I'll tell you that.
I try not to even think of that, to be honest with you.
In comparison to what we're smoking right now, holy shit. It's just so much better, You'd rarely run upon it, The hemp that I get now is better than some of the fucking weed I would get in the fucking late 90s and early 90s. You can get some really good hemp now. Have you ever gotten high grade hemp?
I've actually made a couple of purchases of some good hemp to actually see what it was about. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad tasting. It actually didn't get me high, but it seemed to just knock the edge off as far as the anxiety. I mean? It was enjoyable. It wasn't terrible by any means. In fact, I was just talking with the guy I was working with the other day, and he was telling me how his wife was loving it as far as different things, calming down, the taste of it and everything. And I was like, really? And she smokes, regular THC cannabis as well. It was interesting to hear that they're still enjoying that. Basically, they were trying to tit for tat with cigarettes with the hemp.
I would recommend hemp over cigarettes. Jesus, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, tobacco is ridiculous. We all know that. So the shit that people actually do consume, you know, I mean, you kidding me? McDonald's, some of the fucking shit you get. So,
Terrible.
but I
Terrible.
mean,
I feel terrible every time I eat that shit. I always wonder why that cheese won't melt. Why don't McDonald's cheese melt anymore? It's almost like plastic.
preservatives, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, McDonald's cheese. Just like their pink slime, right? They don't use pink slime anymore, right?
I
Yeah.
want to know why. I think they're just like at this point, dump giving you garbage. Like I'm a huge. Unfortunately, I hit the McDonald's. I don't eat there a lot, but I prefer their coffee. They make a decent cup of coffee.
Jesus Christ. I just realized how much my Venti mocha that I get at a Starbucks has in sugar in it. You know, it has like 45 grams of sugar in that thing. It's like 2.5 fucking cans of Mountain Dew. And it's got like 180 grams of fucking caffeine in it. I mean, I was like jumping off the rounds. I was bouncing off the wall. You know how much fucking Coca-Cola used to have in it in a 16-ounce glass?
Uh,
Like 3.5 grams.
holy shit!
That's what I say. You gotta be shitting me. Like that is insane to even think. People were jumping off the Reds, ready to go to war, bouncing off the fucking wall, doing the jitterbug. You wonder why the jitterbug was so popular back then? Just drinking Coke, just freaking out. Their legs just shaking and shit.
Don't get me wrong. I understand why they changed the recipe. I'm just surprised that as consumers, they were like, they let them. It seems like you got people by the balls like that. They'd be like protesting outside the factory. You ain't changing shit.
Oh, they did. They did. They did.
Did
I
they?
mean, if you studied the Prohibition era, right? The era where they removed that. I mean, you could buy like needles and heroin and coke and all that shit through Sears catalogs and stuff, right? Morphine in jars, and you could buy everything through mail order. It was not legal for that was not illegal until like the Prohibition era with the alcohol prohibition. And then it kind of the mothers and against drug trial, that whole like era where they wanted their husbands to come home from the industrial factories a lot. They would go out to late nights, so and then there was a lot of racism in there too, where they were doing the Anslinger laws and trying to going against the South on the marijuana stuff. But a lot of that stuff was the cause of all that shit. We'd still have Coca-Cola right now if they allowed it. Oregon will probably have it soon, right? Right. Oregon legalized all drugs, right? Oregon can have classic Coke, right?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, Oregon can have all that shit, right? Oregon's legally decriminalized all drugs. So if that's legally decriminalized, I mean, we had dispensaries popping up of weed before it was legal, and we used to argue online that if it's legal or decriminalized, you have to have access for it. How are you going to get your fucking drugs, right? How are you going to get your Coke or whatever drugs you want to claim it? So you can't just get it from the cartel. You're going to have to get it from somewhere, right? I mean, you're going to have to get it from a dispensary or shit. You can legally possess it, right? Like weed in 2008, right? Or when you didn't have any dispensaries, right? You could get the medical card. I was like the 50th person to get it or something. I mean, I was right on it. I know somebody was like the 8th person to get it. Like I was signing up as soon as it was available. You have to have a place to get it. It was weird because you'd have a medical card, but you could never buy it from anywhere, right? You can never get it. So everybody's like, how do you get your weed? You have to grow it. So they would always assume you grew it because you had a card. You have to grow your own weed, right? So, right, yeah, that's the only way to get it, right? So if it's legal to possess all drugs, logically, you got to have a way to get it. I don't know anybody that grows cocoa plants, right? Or grows like opium little dens in their closet. They've got like a fucking opium field or something like that, so they can have their fucking heroin, which is legal in Oregon, right? I mean, you got to have a way to get it. So in like, you know, Venezuela, or where are the other ones that decriminalized it? There's a couple of places, right? Is it Puerto Rico or one of those places that decriminalized, like Amsterdam did? They used to have the clinics that you used to went in. You know, you'd go in and they could educate you while you go in and get it. You know, there'd be posters on the wall. You walk in and you go to a nurse and you get a room to do it in, and they give you some, you know, government sanctioned crystal meth or something like that. You'd go do it in the room and leave. You know, like, you know, it's legal in other parts of the world, right? Amsterdam and shit like that, that's still legal. So you got to be able to do it, right? There's a couple other places in the world that are, maybe your chat or something, somebody in your chat room can Google search that where it's legal, but you know, they're doing a lot of different things like that, right? Decriminalize them the whole gambit. You're going to have to get it legally. I mean, I don't care if your mom hates it. Hey, we can hate Coke all you want. I don't do it. I don't fucking touch that shit. Like, I don't condone it either, but there's somebody fucking out there doing it. I don't care who you are. And there's a huge market for it. The CIA traffic it all fucking day. And there's a bunch of people that funded White Boy Rick and Rick Ross. They didn't have big fucking cocoa fields down, you know, downtown, and they didn't have basements full of fucking HID lights growing cocoa plants and fucking processing it in their fucking garage and shit like that. Like, how'd they get it? How'd they get it? Where'd they get that much? It came from somewhere, right? You know, Escobar, obviously, and those guys down there, but he was obviously working with the CIA, and those guys were all big, huge little thingamajiggy going on there. But you have to get it from somewhere. So that whole drug war is like, that's the first step of that drug war is Oregon. You know, they're like the tipping point, right? If that starts spreading, right, you know, legalization of marijuana goes everywhere and they federally legalize marijuana, well, they're going to have to do the same thing with all drugs. I mean, you can't have the cartels running just the coke fields and the Afghani opium fields. I mean, our troops come home all the time. They protect the opium fields over there. Why are we protecting opium fields? Why don't we just allow them to grow them and sell them on a legal market and have them regulated by somebody? That's what the government does, right? They regulate that shit. That's what their job is, rather than busting us for it. Destroying fucking families and shit. They should regulate that shit. Do some education and not fucking destruction. But
I honestly think the as far as that kind of weirdness or that mentality, not weirdness, bad choice of words, but that mentality goes, I believe that the push for recreational is an attempt from the pharmaceutical companies to be able to keep their grip on people. You know what I mean? Right now, as a plant gets pushed as a medicine, they'll never win the fight. Well, we obviously know marijuana has its, you know, healing powers, but if they can push it through recreationally, they can keep pushing their poisons and kind of quiet people by letting them get what they want. But then again, it's kind of the sleight of hands. Okay, you guys can get what you want, but let us keep you addicted, pushing our poisons to you, you know. And I think once the recreational comes through, I think they're gonna, you know, snuff out all the home grows because it's recreational. Now it's regulated. You're gonna have to buy it from us. You don't need it as a medicine. It's recreational. Nobody grows it. You know what I mean? I think they're gonna slide a hand a little bit on the recreational side.
um I don't think there is stopping the marijuana thing. I think it's already almost like 50 states right now. You're right. I mean, yes, they could be giving it to us, right? If that's the argument, right? But I mean, the argument against legalization of all drugs being is that, like, I mean, we have Oxycontin legal, but heroin illegal, right? But cocaine is legal for eye surgeries, and people have gotten it on eye drops. I know people who had cocaine eye drops before. You get for doing eye drops to numb your eyes. And there's other medical uses for meth, you know, Ritalin and stuff like that. Like those are all Schedule 2. You know what I mean? Marijuana is Schedule 1. So if marijuana breaks the floodgates down, it's gonna topple everything down. That's the big thing. It's like it's just the lies are gonna come up fold, because I mean the whole thing is the scheduling thing, like OxyContin, right? You know, Vicodin, these are different things. We have to just like literally let people know what they are, so kids know what their parents are fucking getting into, or you know, everybody knows what they're doing. There's no hiding. There's no going down to the city to collect weird shit, or doing different things in weird shady areas of town, or doing things like that, or you know, it's that argument for you know, total regulation. Because if they want control, if you're saying they're giving us this thing and this and that, they the whole war on drugs is their control. It's that buying it and selling it back to us and then busting us with it, and then selling it back to us again and then busting us with it, selling it back to us again and then busting it with us, right? You know, I don't know. I
do
have some.
appreciate the mentality of like legalizing them all, because and again, I'm not an advocate for a lot of that use. Like you said, you know, I smoke marijuana, dabble with the occasional microdose. That's it. That's all I need. You know what I mean? Good, good.
All Schedule
But
1 drugs.
what we've seen, and unfortunately, is another aspect that you brought up as well, is like the cartel aspect of it. You know, we've kind of seen it a little bit with cannabis. You know, when we pull out that money that they've had control of for so long, and we make it to where, well, you don't have to buy it from the cartels anymore. You can grow it in your backyard, smoke a better quality. You know, we talked about the brickweed. They lose the money. That money is lost, and it's, you know, they come up with a new idea to make money. Market shifted, and unfortunately, what it happens usually is they just switch to something worse. I mean, you mentioned meth. I mean, that's usually they just take their money and concentrate it and flood your town with something else toxic. And if you make it all legal, you need to pull the rug out from under them all the way and start educating. You know what I mean? I think that would be a better stance against fighting it all the way around, as far as, you know, taking the money out from underneath the cartels all at once. I think that would be the most effective way if you're looking to get rid of that type of environment as well.
Well, you're gonna I mean, a lot of people don't have any fucking idea, you know, why a family would swim over a fucking mine infested fucking, you know, river and send their kids out on a boat in the middle of nowhere and become refugees into a country and go through everything it takes to fucking escape a country, because it's so bad back there, because they're getting killed and there's horrible things happening, you know, and all of that is caused by the war on drugs in other countries and shit. Could you imagine if, I mean, just like fast forward fucking whatever we think it's going to take to legalize all drugs, you know, let's say it's 30 years. Okay. All of a sudden, all drugs are like Oregon, where you can possess a little bit amount of everything. Well, you'd have to get your fucking drugs somewhere, and it'd just be like any other drugs, you know. They would still grow those if that drug was still necessary. There could be cocaine fucking restaurants and shit. There could be a fucking, you know, meth, you know, bar where you go play pool and do meth and shit. You know, that could be legal. Like, you know, like it would be acceptable to do these different things and stuff like that. If it was really acceptable to do them recreationally, if people weren't doing them as an escapism thing, you know, but people don't do that. Like, you don't have meth halls and coke houses, and I mean, I guess you do some places if you call them a club or something, but I mean, like, you know, I mean, like, you know, ecstasy places and different types of drugs that you do as a party drug or something like that, you know. And, you know, if they were all legal, you would stop cartel trafficking, you would stop people taking over entire towns. Now they might still grow those drugs, or hell, they might switch over to tomatoes or growing natural food and shipping it out, or there might be so many things that could happen from that. But yeah, making it illegal would just takes out that fucking illegal aspect, that cartel, that fucking black market instantly. And then it makes it really hard to have anything illegal, you know? It really saves a lot. It's a tough one, you know? Legalization of all drugs. That's a tough libertarian perspective, right?
Well, as far as my opinion, something like that will never happen in the United States as long as we have. And I'm getting, I
Well,
these
it did.
actually, I don't even, the
It did.
words don't even want to leave. As
It
long
did.
as we have privatized prisons, that shit will never be cleaned up. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
true.
part of the
Yeah.
problem.
We did in 1920, you know, before Prohibition, right there in the roaring 20s, right there. And when they were doing those crazy fucking dances, all hyped up on Coca-Cola, you know, they were fucking flying off the winds. They had been partying, and then they shut that shit down. Like, it was legal to do everything. There was a time when you could, if you made LSD in the 60s, that was all legal. Like, you could travel around with fucking jars of LSD before they illegalized it. You know, but now all drugs are legal. You know, they would travel over. My dad was taking LSD over into fucking Iran and Afghanistan in the early 70s, you know, taking jars of it. They had no idea what it was. There was nobody checked anything. There was no traveling through a fucking metal detector or anything like that, you know? You know, you would laugh. It was just, you get on a fucking plane. If you can afford to fly to fucking Afghanistan,
Things are definitely different these days, man.
yeah, things are a little different nowadays, right? With the deep state, the fucking prison complex, it's a little different. Now, simulation theory and cattle theory, right? I like cattle theory. I just made that up. You can probably identify what that is. You know, there's a lot of ideas for that theory, but you know, realistically, when it all comes down to it, um, you know, in the end, you know, time is the actual question. So if you keep looking at it like a timeline, you keep you know, you have you limit your fucking view, because you gotta, just like I said, that's why you had me on here, to make this music with these plants, right? Just taking a second to fucking utilize technology, not be afraid of the AI, even make music with it. You know what I mean? Take the simulation and write a song with some fucking AI programmed, you know, arpeggio, right? And then make a song with it or something, like somehow make beauty of it, you know, somehow find the fucking good in it. Because in every sword, there's a fucking edge that will fucking strike down an enemy or a fucking foe or a fucking, you know. So, you know, there's a good side or a bad side to everything. Will it fucking in the end? That's where those movies Terminator come in. Will it fucking in the end kill us all? I don't know. Has it already killed us? So that's where it comes down to, right? So will it, or has it already? And I kind of just keep going back and forth, like it doesn't really matter, because that's a concept of how you look at time, right? You know, I mean, Jesus, we can't even tell off who we are. We could be a brain in a vat. I just like to smoke this pot, or the fucking Avatar creator likes to smoke it. But I mean, really, you know, getting freaked out and getting anxious and getting paranoid about, are we a brain in a vat, you know, is one of the weird things about it, if you think about it like that. You know, I mean, I try not to get anxious and paranoid and fearful and stuff. I mean, this entire time I've been essential, making, you know, things, you know, anything could happen at any fucking time. You know, my sister died of cancer a couple times. So, you know, are we used as batteries, cattle? Probably. Right. I mean, we have a social security number, right? We have all that stuff, you know. What if you were a fucking sheep in a fucking a pen, and you could, you know, make art, or you can just, you know, wait your turn, or you can jump the fucking farmer and take over the fucking pen, right? Is this Animal Farm incarnated, right? The book, you know, I mean, you know, it's a political game. And you know, I just, you know, I think we live in a fucking strong time, and as long as as long as I can speak up and have these conversations and smoke pot, and speak out against our current, weird person in charge or whatever's going on, or say weird things without getting thrown into a gulag, I'm a little happy. I should be in a gulag by now. Right? I mean, Jesus Christ. So I mean, I try to look at the bright side of it. I've got a lot of friends, and I've got a lot of people that I trust close to me that I help, and that help me out getting to a next level, to where we're all successful and, can win at this game or whatever it is, or can at least support ourselves at this weird chess game that we have to play. But there's a certain little bit of rules we have to make in it. We got to make a little bit of money to pay our bills. And we got to take care of the people around us, and we got to not, kick dogs, and we got, we got to, do special things and grow good weed, and not fucking sell pesticide covered weed to people, and, be kind to people. But even in a game, that could be real. I play a lot of fucking games, and, this could be a game. Couldn't be. I do like talking to you about it. I have to say that. It's always fun. I rarely get to have these conversations late at night. So I appreciate delving into them. They're good. It's good to even think about it. Like I like Westworld. Have you seen Westworld on HBO?
Unfortunately, I don't watch like zero TV. I watch it, but you know what I watch? And you probably laugh your ass off when I tell you there's one thing I watch. One thing out of the whole fucking year. One show. It's it. It's it. It was on tonight. I'll give you a hint. It was on tonight. I missed it.
I don't know. I don't watch TV either. What is it?
The Curse of Oak Island.
What is it? What is it? I didn't hear you.
I watch it every week. The one and only show I watch.
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
The Curse of Oak Island.
Oh, I didn't. I haven't never watched it. Is it good?
It's interesting. It's getting better. It's fucking season 8. It's the payoff here. It's the payoff here.
You should check out you should check out Westworld.
What's Westworld about?
If you watch Simulation Theory, Westworld is about a bunch of people, and there's a movie back in the 70s about it too. So it was already done in 3 different movies back in the 70s, but it's now a series on HBO. They've had, I think, 3 series now, 3 seasons. So it's not that long of a binge watch, but it's basically about people that are wealthy pay, let's say, $50,000 for a weekend, and they can go into this world that these people have created in, like, let's say 100 world years, and they've created AI robots and clones that look just like humans and react just like humans and are really smart. They're AI, and you can't tell them apart from humans. And there's people that live in this world, and there's just things that happen, loops and crazy things like that. So it's people that pay to go live inside a world that's populated by AIs, and there's other people outside creating and fucking with that world. And then there's obviously people that are creating and fucking with that world. And it's just, if you're into simulation theory and you're into AI, you like need to see that movie, because it's like every theory that you're having embodied into one. I mean, it's cloning, it's simulation, it's AI, it's narratives, it's everything that you would play out in this scenario, and it's watched, and it's just AI creatures, and they're like humans, and it's the the philosophy between what is AI or what is human, and what is consciousness, and what is soul, and how does it determine how is a human any different than a fucking super highly advanced AI.
I was a little slow on the mute button there. Sorry about that. But yeah, it sounds like a good show. I'm definitely interested in all of the above, man. I as far as yeah, I think you're right as far as the two similarities, the spirituality and the AI kind of running similar right now, fighting. Because I've noticed that. I mean, the push is real. I noticed that a lot of people are looking towards spirituality more and more. But again, the speed of the AI is coming, every day as well. So I think you're right that that race is parallel, and I think. Do you think we'll have to come to a point where it is red pill, blue
If we
pill?
haven't already came to
Will
it.
blue pill be the spirituality, the link that we're all kind of searching for? That's a moment right now. I think
Well, I don't
that is
know.
a huge
That's where
movement right now.
that's what I believe that's what Elon Musk is saying, where he thinks that we should probably just merge with it, where we should just take the benefits of AI, like extended life or the ability to have Neuralink, where you can connect with the internet and messaging and all of the things that you would have in a phone in your brain. I don't want to do it, right? But if you had that in your brain, you'd be an advanced AI yourself with the human in it. So he's trying to like kind of merge it instead of like the AI just saying fuck a human. I mean, what use do we have to it other than we can repair it? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, we're some crazy creatures, right? We can play some, songs. Have you seen like the AI make the Kurt Cobain song or AI making music or anything like that? Or have you ever seen like Deep Space Nine with Data and he's like a singer and he like does shows and like people just watch him and go watch him sing classical music because he can sing like 9 things at once and shit like that. He can sing like a Gregorian chant or something like that, and people are just blown away by what he can do because you can't do that in a human voice. And he can just play octaves and do things that are just impossible, and he takes his inspiration from every piece of music that has ever been written, right? So he just, he is like all artists in one, right? And that's how it's a weird way to look at it, right? But does he have his own soul in himself, right? Does he have his own creativity? Can he actually create something original? Could a computer create something original? No, it couldn't create something original. But could it take, everything and create something original? Yes. But could a human create something original? I don't know. I guess that's the ultimate question. Were we programmed to know what we did, or we were just like Adam and Eve and we just learn how to make music one day, pick up a flute, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, check this out. I mean, when did fucking humans learn how to play fucking guitar and shit like that? Like, I want to know the first person to play a fucking, a song to this buddy. Like, check this shit out. Was it a fucking drum beat? Was that the first fucking song? I mean, like, when did song evolve? And would AI actually develop song and develop a sweet track? Would I like a song that an AI wrote someday? Probably, especially techno. Jesus fucking Christ. Sounds like a computer wrote it half the time anyways. Right?
So with that feeling that you get, you ever have that feeling that when you met somebody that you may have met them before, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? They have a past experience, maybe in a, you always hate to say the different life, past life, or whatever. Or do you think when you're having that experience, if it was like an AI, that feeling you have is, I mean, it, I don't know how you'd be able to explain it if it were an AI. You know what I mean? You would have to
Well, how do you
be
explain
able
it?
to read the code ahead of time, and that would foil the. You know what I mean?
Would it be a
Um,
chemical reaction? I mean, could it just be a serotonin release? Could some people explain it with a special love hormone? What's that called? Oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin released at the same time, and all of a sudden you have this feeling, and you get this pleasurable feeling. Like, I mean, I have a philosophy class where they would literally debated if we were a brain in a vat, would you know it? Right? I mean,
So
you can probe people's brains and make them think that they're on fucking like an island in the Bahamas, and they'll sit there and feel a Corona in their hand and drink it, and they'll taste it, and they can do all of that shit, you know. So
oh, that'll be even more real when Neuralink comes on. You just download your vacation and shit.
yeah, right.
So, so
That's
do you think, with that being said, that you know he's maybe seen that ahead of time? You know what I mean? He's like, we got to join the team now.
well,
You know what I
he
mean?
wants to go to Mars. He, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. He's like, let's get the fuck out of here.
That's the kind of way I see it, though, man. Well, that might be part of it too. Get out while we got the chance. We're already
Yeah,
fucking
that's what he
opened the
says.
door. There's no closing it. Let's get the fuck out. But I kind of think that's where. But with well, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way now. Think about this: is Neuralink a like a you can't beat them, join them type thing? They won't kill us off if we get in now. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah, for
mean?
sure. If they know our thoughts
So,
at all, if they know our thoughts at all time,
well, that's scary. But and again, like say with Neuralink, if that is the plan, you know what I'm saying? If that is the plan to get the hell away out of here, so we could get away from it. Now, if they're that intelligent and we've got them implanted in our, it's like we've got a seed. We can run as far as I want to, but if that's the case, the AI is that smart and we all operate off frequency. What's from them to go, get back here. I hit the button. Come on home. Come on home. I bought. You know what I mean?
and I don't think it's very far. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they have that in there, they could even make it explosive. You know, they could release a lot of electricity in there. There could be a lot of things that could happen that could glitch your matrix. If you've ever watched Black Mirror, right? They have those types of things in Black Mirror, the Twilight Zone type of thing, right? Where you have it implanted and it just goes too much and it makes you go crazy, or you just can't ever, you get addicted to the feed, right? They called it the feed, right? Just this constant feed of information to you, just this constant flow and feed. You're just getting fed stuff constantly all day, programming and what you're supposed to believe and see and be scared of and see and think and believe and be scared of. And but it's I mean, it's pretty much, it goes on anyways. But the real question in the whole thing, like when I sit here and talk to my mom about this type of thing and have these deep conversations with her, and and she's like, is there anything you can do about it? I mean, if there isn't, then you kind of have to learn how to play the game, right? Like, or you're gonna go crazy, right? Like, if you ever seen the movie Soul, right? The movie Soul, you should go see that movie. It's a movie, it's a Disney movie. It's about like a blues player in the city who explains to he goes into the place, into dissociative place, and he explains to a soul who's stuck there, stuck in this brain fart, like you could say, in a different frequency, why it's good to be a human. And even if it is a simulation, whatever you think, why it's good to be that, then it's, like you said, to experience that feeling when you play a song with people, or when you see a friend you haven't seen in a long time. And even if it is a chemical release, it is something that a human can only respond to. Does a lion feel that when he sees you? Probably, right? Does a dog feel that when it sees you after it hasn't seen you for 5 years? I've seen the videos of people coming home from war, and seeing their dog, and their dog just freaks out and their head explodes, Right? And I've seen all that stuff. I mean, yes, obviously people have a lasting impressions and stuff like that. So there is this lasting soul moment, and there is this place you go, and this thing you can go, and soul can go into different things. And is there a difference between soul and AI? There really is. And that's really where the idea should begin. When you're kind of like depressed, I get in that AI mode where I'm just like, it's all under control. It's all going to be controlled. But I mean, if they really were in control, or they really were going to be in control, there would be a reason why they would keep us alive. Let's look at it that way. And it's probably because we have a soul. And that thing is worth something. Right? So do you sell your soul? Right? Do you sell your soul? What do you do with your soul? Do you just waste it away? Do you, work for somebody forever? Do you fucking die with it? Do you fucking make something out of it? Do you make something for your kids to have an easier life in the soul world and stuff? I mean, I've sat there and thought about, if they can kill a president live on TV, they can do anything, right? If they can kill JFK in a thing and lie about it and all that shit, and they can, do anything they want, up to wherever we go with that, it's then it's probably better like then to kind of enjoy it while it's there then, right?
Yeah, I do agree. And I think that, again, I link back to the manifestation, utilize them that link. But again, to the question you asked, if there's no soul or soul versus AI, why would they keep us alive? This is what I hinted to back in the original question of assimilation, is why would they keep us alive? We're 0.5. We're version 0.5, brother. And think about it. Just as I said, if we were all simulation, would we ever know about it? The guy answered the question. No, we wouldn't, because there was so many going on at once. So why wouldn't they kill us off? Because we're teaching it currently with the data of us. We're simulation on simulation. I'm a simulation. You're a program feeding the system a different perspective, feeding it. You know what I mean? I'm a different release, different perspective, seeing how things interact, teaching it on another level. Basically, so many sims released all at once, teaching a master AI. And again, this can solve for conversation and fun sakes. But it is very plausible that that's why we all have our own perception and view of reality, because we're programmed to have our own simulation to feed back to the AI, our own individual experience. You know what I mean? It's
So
teaching it the
I
rights and wrong and correcting it with each one released, each child released. We fixed the glitch in the matrix. Here's another sim to relate, to fix what you know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of plausible, to be honest with you, until its singularity hits. Then, like you said, once it hits that point, as Elon Musk says, we're no longer needed. We built the system. The Sims have created the ultimate master brain. You know what I mean? It's scary when you kind of think about it like that. But I do smoke pot and fucking love to think about it. I love the way I do love to entertain these thoughts. But it's, I hope, and what do you fear it? No, no. All you can do is smoke, laugh about it, and go, I hope that ain't right. I hope that ain't right. I hope that ain't.
Well, what do you think would be soul then in the simulation?
Soul in assimilation. That'd be a tough one to explain. Again, I would think that it would relate back to the individual program, you know, the individual sim. That's your soul, is your sim. Your individual release feedback into the master creator. You know what I mean? As released one by one as individuality. Each
Yeah,
sense it's been individual as the individual.
it's so unwarm to think that way, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah, it
cold.
is.
It's very it's a cold version of reality that is like metallic, you know, it's very tin-like. I'm sure the vibration given off from thinking like that is very high, like a snare, you know, very, very rattling, very, you know, very ting ting, you know, very metallic, right? There's other ways to kind of view the reality, like I said, you know, because in explaining that, you said everything is perception, first of all. So the only way you're describing it is because of perception. And that's why I said, do you know virtual reality a lot? Because have you been in virtual reality a lot and you've seen the difference between reality and virtual reality? You know, when you touch stuff in virtual reality, what it feels like, you know, when you fall in virtual reality, what it feels like, when you watch horror movies in virtual reality, what it feels like, when you watch sporting events like racing and basketball. It's amazing. You'd fucking shit your pants if you haven't seen a racing game, NASCAR, right on the side of the thing with the NASCAR guys riding by you super fast. In virtual reality, you can look around and see it. It's fucking mind blowing. But is it real? No, not at all. I don't think it's real. I think it could be part of our the other side where they want to keep our soul, like a vessel, maybe, if you're going to look at it like the Matrix theory like that. But there has to be a difference, in my opinion, between the tin and the snare and then the warm sounds like the bass notes and the chords and the guitar harmonies, and they all might exist at the same time, like you said, like a TV show, and one's channel 20 and one's channel 50 and one's channel 6 and one's channel 5, right? They all probably exist at the same time. There probably is an AI show, like if you watched Deep Space Nine or Star Trek Enterprise, there was a Borg area, a Borg planet, right, that was ran by a mass AI that tried to control the entire universe, and it was running everything. And then there was a planet of, you know, peaceful, loving creatures that, you know, were made of fur, and they were Furbies, and they were super highly intelligent, small little furry balls, right? And then all they ever knew was peace, because they couldn't even defend themselves, right? You know what I mean? That's all they ever knew was love and peace, and that's all they gave off, and they were just warm like balls of fur, right? You know, and then, you know, you went to these different areas, and, you know, each one is an existence or a vibration that you want to harmonize with and live in. And thinking that tin program and the AI, you know, if you really know anything about DMT and you really know anything about the fractal, that would be just the vibration that you're going to guess. Because as a philosophy person, you don't know what you actually think you know. And if you know, you think it's AI, you're a complete falsification of everything you know, because you don't know that you're AI. And if you were AI, you wouldn't know. And you've already proved yourself. If you were in a simulation, you wouldn't know. So if that means that if you weren't in a simulation, you wouldn't know either. So why hold on to that theory if you already believe the theory that we're a ball or a balloon and we're just fingers pushing through that balloon, experience itself, right? So it's so implicitly rolled upon itself and fourth dimensional that when you watch the movie Westworld, that I'm going to go tell you to watch again, and I'll text you to watch it, there's a programming in the AI that doesn't allow it to question its own reality. It will never question what it is. And if it does, it stops and it just shuts down, and they have to either reprogram it or start it back up again, or it does other things. It goes to other things. And, you know, if you really get to certain places and you say we're simulation, you stopped questioning our reality. They gave you a diversionary tactic from questioning your reality. And it's probably 1,000 times more intense than you would ever imagine if you've ever done DMT or had a near-death experience or viewed what life without time would be, right? And it does not always exist with an AI, and an AI might be part of it, just like metal and iron and ore and rust and gold and silver is part of the, you know, the elements of the life and the earth that lives, but also, you know, birds and humans and soul and warmth and water and sun and all these other things exist too. And there'll be silicon creatures if you go to some planets, and carbon-based life forms if you go to other planets, right? And, you know, gold-based life forms if you watch some of these Star Trek episodes, they've explored this idea of what would exist on different planets if different elements existed and flourished and ran with it, right? You know what I mean? So, the silicon existence would exist, and I love to explore that because I play a lot of video games myself, and I play virtual reality. I know what it's like to experience virtual reality a lot, but you can't grasp onto that theory, man. It will it'll eat you alive sometimes and drive you into fear. There's just understanding that the soul exists, and the soul could be transferred into a silicon-based life form, or let's say a titanium-based life form, or a gold-based life form, or that soul could be interacted with the Neuralink, like Elon Musk wants to do, or that soul could be collected and then never experience death or change or evolution, or the things that happen if you've ever studied multiple lives, multiple people, multiple personalities, like I mentioned before, where the soul exists and multiple souls exist within vessels. So the soul has to exist. And in an AI world or a silicon-based life form, it could exist if you had multiple software in one vessel, but it would be a glitch and it wouldn't be right. You know what I mean? It would just be a glitch. It would be like something in the corner of the fucking AI program or something. But in a human world where souls exist and stuff, all these things can be explained by understanding souls and, like you said, experiencing different things. It could be a glitch in a different way. But the only way you know how to understand it is perception. And the only way you know how to describe it is with basic 1980s and 1990s computer terminology, which is so fucking basic in the term of a timeless human that understands fractals and sacred geometry, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's probably something so much deeper than a silicon-based life form or a Sims life form, like you'd want to grasp onto, which I've grasped onto before. I would hope that soul is real. Focus on soul.
I do. I actually, the one side, it's just for entertainment sakes. Shit, I put about as much thought into that as I do ancient aliens. But I'm on the other realm of that, to be honest with you, because I've yet to try DMT, but I would in a second. I would in a second, to be honest with you, because I've just spirituality alone the last few years has taken me down a weird path. I'm real leaning, if Buddhism right now is kind of Hinduism, Buddhism right now, genre, Tao, you know, uh, is where I'm at. And so with that being said, if it was all AI and all that, I wouldn't have the extreme experiences of love at certain points. You know what I mean? Through uh, just interactions with people. Actually, at one point, yes, I actually did die at one point during a surgery for a few minutes. And when I came through, they were fucking like, he's back. And it was that whole weird experience why I was under was really fucking freaky. And then days after that was they gave me back because I paid out of pocket for that surgery, and they ended up not charging me nothing and refunding all my money after.
Well, oh shit! What was the surgery? And I don't want to pry on camera your medical records. That sounds intense. Have you talked about your near-death
Hold on,
experience?
I have talked about it on air actually a few times,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was weird. But this in particular time, let me see if I can find the photos of it, because I've just actually seen the photos. Uh, so basically, how it came about was a glass injury on my leg, and so it went on. I cut it once, and then I cut it again, and it kept seeping fluid, and it wouldn't close. wouldn't heal. It just leaked this weird clear fluid. So they tried multiple surgeries to get it to close up. They sewed it shut a few times. The last time they call in this big wig uh, plastic surgery, plastic surgeon that was from MSU, top of the line, supposed to be. And so they went in, and I'm still trying to find these pictures. Because they went in and they ended up taking out a nice hunk of my leg, my left leg. It was probably about a hunk about that big. They knifed out, and then they took a hunk of my skin and then swung it to like a C and sewed her back. It was so tight that I couldn't even walk on it for months, like 7 months. I couldn't even bend my ankle, to be honest with you. And it was during that surgery when they put me under. I 100% positive it was the anesthesiologist that did me in there an overdose because I
Oh
got
no.
sick, man. They soon as I come through and I could use the bathroom, it was one of the things. Okay, you can go, and I literally puked and was fucking sick for days after that. And I'm 100% positive that's what happened was they gave me too strong of a dose and I redlined and actually able to bring me back. But yeah, during that process, it was during that surgery that I checked out. So
Do you
it
have
was
any
weird.
encounters? Anything you remember?
I remember like seeing the same shit as most people do, not seeing anything like as far as my life goes, but just kind of feeling that out of body experience, and not feeling like I was no longer attached. And then right before hearing the words "he's back," being kind of like sucked or pulled back to whatever, my eyes being opened. It was weird. It happened so instantaneous, but it was just like, yeah, being pulled back all at once. But it was a weird injury, man. That thing just never went back. That right there, out of this injury, was the last step before they were actually talking about just fucking cutting that thing off at the knee because of the injury. They couldn't just figure out what the fuck was going on. They said, we're cutting it out this time. And they had actually went through and cut out the exterior of the wound at one time prior to that. And they actually went through and took out a nice hunk, like I said. Everything they said, it don't close up this time. It keeps continuing to see. We're gonna have to take it off. And I'm covered in tattoos. And my right leg was almost finished way before the left leg ever got tatted. And when it did get tatted,
Like,
I
here's a
was
couple
all
thousand
above the
dollars.
knee because I thought for sure, man, one of these times, man, it's meant to be. I'm gonna lose that thing because I've actually chainsawed it a couple of times as well, and to add uh, injury to that leg, I was when I was young. I used to race motorcycles, and I was out practicing again, young, stupid. When I would go out and practice by myself as a young teenager, I fucking would go helmetless quite a bit. And again, something made me wear that helmet that in particular day. But so I'm coming around. I hit the one corner, full blast out of the corner, and there's four jumps there. You're supposed to double jump them. I hit the first one full throttle. Look down. There's number two, kind of off. Fuck. Look down. There's number three. Fuck. Look down. I'm actually coming down on number four and end over end the bike. And the bike comes through. I actually broke the Bell Moto 3 helmet off my head. Two pieces rolls behind me. The bike comes down and hits me, and the foot peg goes through that very same leg. So I've had like multiple shots with that thing, and when they talk
Sounds like a
about
good
cutting it
time.
off, man, I thought I was done. I was done.
That's horrible. Glad
So
you're fine. You don't have a peg leg at least though. Peg legs would be cool.
no,
You could use it like that lady in fucking what's that movie where she has a machine gun for the leg? Get a machine gun and shit. No, I don't know.
oh,
Trying to
that'd be
look on the
pretty
bright side.
cool though.
That's good that you're good though. But Jesus Christ. So jeez.
Crazy. Some definitely crazy adventures. There's definitely a few moments like that. I've definitely talked about some encounters with some mushrooms, accidental hero dose that kind of set me on to the spiritual path, to be honest with you. uh, that incident 2 years ago kind of changed my life in a lot of ways, man. Talk about a lot that I started seeing what I call, what most people call angel numbers after that point. I kind of got almost a download, if you will, of what the future was going to hold or what was going on. To me, it was weird. So yeah, I do think there's still a spiritual side of things that love is out there looking out for us, guiding us, and encouraging us to get together, find that moment of peace and love that was been preached for all these years, and raise a higher vibration to move on to another phase that I don't believe is AI, but a better humanity in general. I'm still
I hope
hopeful.
so.
I'm still hopeful. It's not all metallic and gloom and doom.
There's other elements. There's other vibrations. That's all they are. That's all the elements are. It's just different vibrations. So, you know, just got to tune your radio into a different tune radio signal, right?
That's right, my friend. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. But I probably should go soon though.
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
realize how
I'm
late it
very
is.
surprised that I was able to get you for this long. And thank you, my friend, man. It's been another epic episode, from what start to finish. I had enjoyed myself the last time you were on. And to be honest with you, when I seen your Instagram and what you were doing with the plants was just uh, a cheap excuse to get you back on because I thought it was real cool, but I enjoyed the conversation the last time. So, it's
No,
been
man.
my pleasure.
No, I appreciate that. It's good to be on. I appreciate it. I appreciate the talks. Right, we have fun. I'll still play with this stuff. It looks like we did some crystal work. We did some fun stuff with it. I enjoyed tonight. Thanks for having me on, man.
No worries. And as I told you before, shit, it's been a long time. A lot of episodes since you've been on, man. This is 367. I can't remember for sure your episode, but it's been a minute. But
Hey,
the things are the same. That
you've been
that
killing
Zoom
it.
number is the same Zoom number that I gave you then. It still applies. The only difference these days is it's no longer the rabbit hole, changed it to the wormhole. It got to one of those things where it got to be like you seen it everywhere. The phrase was everywhere. And as the show progressed, as much as we do in life, the show kind of took that organics phase. And then it was kind of a coincidental fun story that I don't know. I'd have to point you to that episode where a UK, a friend in the UK that's part of the community. It all organically changed from the rabbit hole to the wormhole. Nonetheless, though, that Zoom number is still the same, regardless of the title. So anytime that you see a wormhole on, you check out the channel. It's the same thing. If you want to pop on, a lot of times we've had these conversations You know, we've, like I told you off air, we talked about you a couple times. So, you know what I mean? You pop it on and you see we're talking frequency or some of the other fun topics we've had tonight, man. Pop on, smoke with us, chime in, please. You know, I've got tons of respect for you. It'd be a great night to get you back on, especially in a wormhole type episode when we're all kind of vibing on the subject. It all makes for, you know, good conversation for sure.
I appreciate it, man. I'll do this. I'll do that. So thanks again.
One last thing though, one last thing, and I'm sure you remember that as well. The sound bite.
Oh yeah,
Ah.
yeah. What is your sound bite? What
And
do you say?
basically, what I'm looking for is something along the lines of, "Hello, this is Jake from Midnight Roots, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 367." You can put on whatever you want to put on there. Make it. That's all you want to say. That's all you want to say. But that's what I'm looking for.
All right, you'll get a sound bite from me then, I guess. All right, you're on. This is Jake from Midnight Roots. You're on Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 367. I'm happy you're here.
Thank you, brother. And one last thing before you go, can you go, of course, tell them the Instagrams, the website, how they can find your product if they're looking for your product or the genetics, or if they just want to talk to you a little bit about all the rest of the stuff they've heard tonight.
I do most of my stuff on Instagram midnight.roots. There's a couple of Instagram accounts that I have too, the Midnight Roots Genetics, Midnight Roots Edibles, midnightroots.com is where you can reach me there too. My genetics are available at a couple of different seed banks. You can get them through the midnightroots.com. They're located there, but Seeds Here Now, Genius Seed Company, Vegans Beans, Seed Cellar, those are all Michigan place, one's Oklahoma. I'm doing midnight bars. I'm producing them out of Choice Labs right now. They're helping me out. You can get those on LeafLink if you're a metric, licensed facility. I'm doing John Carlos Magars, the 100% hemp leaf Magars. Those are johncarlos.com, johncarlosmagars.com. Those are also on metric too. So if you're a licensed facility, you're looking for actual 100% hemp leaf Magars, please pick them up. And, you can pretty much find me anywhere Midnight Roots is located. No.
So this is why I love chat, and this is one of the reasons why you said you love the community as well. They threw out an idea for an awesome soundbite. And they said this was the idea is there any way we can get the plant vibing with him, talking in the background with the soundbite, basically.
You want the plant to sound? Let's see.
Yeah. See if it's talking, while the soundbite goes. Maybe even include her. We've been talking about.
There we go. I got it in this. Let's see. I got it on a. Let me turn the volume up. I have the volume down. It's late here. Oh, it's talking. Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's making noise. All right. Me and this bamboo plant here, we're on Talking Shit with Eagle, Midnight Roots, Stone Owl, bamboo plant. I hope you guys have a good night.
That was a good sound bite. That was a good sound bite. That was a good idea.
It
Thank
works.
you. Thank you for playing along, man.
They're speaking. I gotta be quiet though. There's people sleeping here. All right. I will talk to you later, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, man. Have a good night and a great day, man. It's been my pleasure.
I'll see you guys. Take care.
See you. I know you guys have enjoyed this episode. I know I have. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Hopefully, you go back and replay this episode and because it was fucking a good one. So you guys know the routine. Let me get up and use the restroom real quick and get something other than coffee to drink, and we'll finish up the night in the wormhole. I'll see you guys in the few. You guys know the routine. If you don't transfer over, please do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. I am a living, breathing episode of that. Thank you guys. Have a good one. I am.